Hello and welcome to Season 1, Episode 2 of Should Have Sent a Poet, a podcast about the stories we tell beyond the stars. Today we're watching the skies for 1977's Close Encounters of the Third Kind. My name is Natalie Bickelhop, and I'm joined by my co-host, Natalie Epstein-Hogue.
Hi, I'm Natalie Epstein-Hogue. I am a part of this podcast because I know things about science and engineering, and also am interested in conspiracy theories. But not like as someone who believes in conspiracy theories, as someone who thinks that they're like interesting as an outside observer.
Absolutely, and you're also my good friend, and
we are compatriots.
Yeah. On the show, we talk about your favorite first contact and space exploration movies to figure out what they say about humanity and our wider world. If that sounds like something you're going to enjoy, check the show notes for our social media, Patreon, and how you can participate in our Q&A episodes. With housekeeping out of the way, how are you doing, Nat?
I'm doing all right. Had an interesting morning. I think we're moving forward though. I think we're on the horse.
We are absolutely on the horse.
This room is going to periodically get warmer as we record this episode, so that's added context for you all. Also, we have no idea how the reception of episode 1 was, so sorry if you hated that, and this is just the exact same format.
Yeah, but if you're listening to this, and you did hate it, thank you for hate listening to the second episode.
If you hated it, thanks for sticking it out. But we're recording this 3 weeks before you're hearing it. So
yeah, there's a backlog happening. So if something pressing happens and we don't address it, that's exactly why.
You'll hear about it in 3 weeks.
Exactly. We'll catch up eventually. So yeah, we're talking about 1977's Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It was written and directed by Steven Spielberg, and it is one of his many first contact movies.
He has a lot of those.
He does.
We're gonna have an entire Spielberg series. I
think eventually we can do a Spielberg season because his very first feature length film was Firelight, which is now lost media basically. There's some clips, but it is mostly gone. And Spielberg has said that it's one of the 5 worst movies ever made, which is
no love lost.
No, but I would love to see it. Because the thing is, it's also kind of the basis for Close Encounters. There's a lot of shots in Close Encounters that are direct remakes of things that he did in Firelight, which is really interesting, and I think it would be fun to compare. How he grew as a director. But yeah, he has a lot of these movies. There is so obviously Close Encounters, Firelight, then there's E.T., War of the Worlds, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and then this year, at the time of recording, literally a week ago, I believe he released, or maybe it's in a few days, I'm not sure, Disclosure Day is releasing, which is another first contact style movie. So this is clearly something of a hobby horse for Spielberg.
Yeah. He loves an alien contact movie.
Yeah. And so we'll eventually get to those other movies, but I think this is kind of the seminal first contact movie insofar as it's probably E.T. is a children's movie that's very emotional, but I think it's first contact in a very different way. Whereas Close Encounters is interested in UFOs and sort of the mythology behind them, and I think that is perfect for us to talk about.
Yeah. I do think an interesting theme of Close Encounters is how it engages with a children's view of alien contact.
Yes, absolutely. That I want to talk about that because this movie is so weird. This movie, I really enjoy it, but it is a weird thematic.
Yeah, we were talking about this over text before you came over. Of just I think you and I spent a lot of time racking our brains about what the heck this movie is trying to say.
Yeah. And we'll talk about it, but my conclusion is kind of Spielberg just wanted to make a cool looking movie.
I think that's the conclusion I have come to as well.
Yeah. So Close Encounters stars Richard Dreyfuss as Roy Neary, an electrician who develops an obsession with UFOs. It also features Francois Truffaut, Terry Garr, Melinda Dillon, and Bob Balaban. The film is named after ufologist J. Allen Hynek's system for classifying UFO encounters, outlined in his 1972 book, The UFO Experience, A Scientific Study.
Wait, I can recite this one from memory. So a close encounter of the first kind is when you like see a UFO in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
A close encounter of the second kind is like seeing some kind of like other physical evidence of an alien encounter. So that's like, I saw the spaceship, or I found a piece of alien trash on my ranch.
Yeah.
And then a close encounter of the third kind is like, I met the aliens. They stuck a thing up my butt. I'm not sure what it was. But
did it have a flared base? That's the real question.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, you know, if you went to third base with the aliens, you had a close encounter of the third kind. If you went to any base with the aliens, you had a close encounter of the third kind.
That is true. I think it's really funny because specifically the wording is sightings of animated entities, which I think is just a really fun phrase.
You just see Bugs Bunny.
That's
actually,
my guy.
We'll get to Looney Tunes.
Yeah, that's true. Looney Tunes does show up in this movie. There's a lot of stuff going on the TV. So
there's a lot of product placement, and all of it will be censored because they're not giving us any money.
Yeah,
if wants us to talk about them in our podcast, they have to give us money.
Yeah, if really wants us to talk about,
which sucks because I love so much.
It's true. I don't know if we'd ever take their money.
Oh my god, no.
Yeah, I don't think we could sleep at night if we took their money. Do we just want to jump right into the synopsis and get going?
Let's do it.
Okay. We open in the Sonora Desert as a group of American researchers arrive at a scrapyard to meet Claude Lacombe, who is the head of an international UFO research group. Planes from the infamous Flight 19, a Navy training mission in 1945 that ended in the disappearance of every plane, have just like materialized in the Sonora Desert kind of at random. And they haven't aged a day is the best way to put it. They still have fuel in their tanks. Everything's kind of untouched. They look brand new.
It's like everything except still warm.
Yeah, exactly. And this group of researchers shows up and they're taking down the flight information and like the engine block numbers, and they're like, what the fuck is going on? And we get introduced to Lacombe's translator, who used to be a cartographer. So when I was watching this movie, have you seen Jaws?
I have actually not seen Jaws.
Okay.
I've seen a number of other classic Spielberg films. Like it's been a while since I've seen E.T., but I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen what's another? I've seen Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Good one.
I've seen a number of Spielberg films, but Jaws somehow isn't one of them. I know it takes place in Rhode Island.
Sorry, nobody can see me where my head like shot up, and I was like, "Is that where it takes place?" Yeah. So in Jaws, Richard Dreyfuss plays a character. He's basically like a marine biologist.
Mm-hmm.
And I love his character so much. I think he's really hot in Jaws. He kind of gives like T-boy swag.
Yeah.
The guy who plays the translator, to me, he looked exactly like Richard Dreyfuss in Jaws, and so I was like, "Oh, that's Richard Dreyfuss."
Interesting.
And because I hadn't seen this movie in like just several years.
Oh, it's been a decade easily.
Yeah, and when he showed up, I was like, "Oh, he's the main character." And that's Richard Dreyfuss because he looks like the guy in Jaws. And then I looked it up, and I was so very wrong.
Yeah.
But
interesting thing I have to say about this opening scene is that the opening line of dialogue, which is also the opening line of dialogue for the whole film, the cartographer gets out of the car and is like, "Are we the first?"
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just like a really interesting, like, there's a lot of parts of this film like that where there's just a shot and a line of dialogue that accompanies it.
Mm-hmm.
That like it's almost like a self-composed piece.
Yeah.
I think that's a thing Spielberg does really well. I'll talk about other moments that this happens, but like I think opening your Alien Contact movie with, "Are we the first?"
Yeah, that a little on the nose, but also like, fuck yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
I think the tone of this film is on the nose. Like,
yeah, and you know what? I love on the nose. Sometimes we got to be real on the nose about a thing because it makes
sometimes reality's on the nose.
Yeah, it makes a dudes rock movie, and I feel this is a pretty dudes rock movie. So they take down like the flight information, and then they meet with a local man who has like some pretty severe radiation burns on his face, and he says there's like translation from like Spanish to English from English to French.
La sol es me canto. Sorry for my terrible Spanish just then. The sun sang to me.
Yeah, the sun came out last night. It sang to me. And then we cut to an Indianapolis air traffic control center where a pilot reports.
Actually, I have a thing to say about the man who the sun sang to him. This is the first time we hear a it's only a fragment of it, but this is the first time in the score that we hear the contact melody. Which I'm gonna talk about this as we get through this. I think this score is a really good like Leitmotifs 101 score.
Mm-hmm.
It obviously, this is a John Williams joint.
Yeah.
You know him and you love him from also 1977's Star Wars.
We got to talk about Star Wars because the crossover on these projects is fucking crazy.
Yeah. No, I this is a thing that I wanted to research more and just didn't get the time to. But I was really curious about the production crossover for these films.
Yeah, I mean, like the one that I can remember right now is just that like R2-D2 is on the model of the mothership, on like the underside. But there's also like famously Lucas and Spielberg are like buddies, and they made an agreement where they each get 2.5% of the like gross from these movies.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I think Spielberg won out in the end.
I mean, I think George Lucas also is doing pretty well for himself.
Yeah, exactly. But I think in ROI on that little bet, I think Spielberg won out because not that Close Encounters is like a poorly performing movie because it.
But Star Wars is Star Wars.
Exactly. One of them has like a long running franchise and the other doesn't.
Yeah. But anyways, it's the score is a John Williams joint, and in being very John Williams and in John Williams's composition techniques being very Wagner, leitmotifs have become like a really big part of film scoring because a lot of film scoring is very John Williams and Wagner are the blueprint, and I think this film is a prime example of that. But so we'll talk about leitmotifs as we get into this film, and I'll probably also end up betraying some of my feelings about Wagner.
Yeah. Fair enough. The other crossover is that Ralph McQuarrie, who did all of the concept art for Star Wars, also did the concept art for the Mothership, which is the other production crossover.
That was the thing that I was thinking about. Is I was like, this looks very the ships look very Greebled.
Yes,
but in a slightly different way.
Yes,
we'll talk about this. I have a piece about this.
Okay, perfect. So we cut to an Indianapolis air traffic control center where a pilot reports a nearby craft. As the scene unfolds, it becomes clear that the UFO, it is a UFO, as it is incredibly bright and flying with like unimaginable precision. There's a point where the pilot is like, it's
coming right for my windshield.
And it's also exhibiting non-ballistic properties, I think he says.
Non-ballistic motion. I think this is so fascinating as like an auditory centric, because I think, Close Encounters of the Third Kind isn't a horror film, but there are a lot of horror scenes in this movie. And I feel like this scene is so interesting as like an audio-centric horror. Like it is a horror scene that revolves entirely around the dialogue between this air traffic controller and these two pilots.
Yeah, I love this scene so much because it is like purely the audio, and then like as the scene goes, basically the air traffic controller is like at his like little radar station, and you can see like the different objects in the sky, and they're like flying around each other and getting closer. And then as the scene goes on, more and more people like come over and start like looking over his shoulder.
Yeah.
And it's like as the tension is building, it's like this crowd gathers around him.
You get the like crash warning alarm, which I think is like with fantastic sound design for this scene.
Yes, absolutely. And it's so cool. I really love this scene, and I think it's an awesome moment of using sound. I think this movie is really interested in sound in a like primarily visual medium.
Oh yeah. I also love how when there's a moment where the UFO like goes right past one of the pilots.
Yeah.
And you hear it over the microphone, and it just sounds like on it sounds like static. That's like maybe it's been run through like a flanger or something. Like there's something else going on there. But I think it's interesting how like the UFO is almost like the sound of the UFO is almost implied through like the use of radio static.
Yeah,
I think it's a really like well done piece of sound design.
It's very, very cool. The other cool thing about this scene is that the air traffic controllers they're not actors, they're actual air traffic controllers.
Oh, I love that.
Which I think sells the scene so well, because the main air traffic controller, he does an amazing job, and he's locked in, and he gives like a really good performance for this short scene that I think I'm sure you could have gotten it with an actor, but I like the authenticity that comes with him being there.
Yeah, they're all doing the voice. They're all doing the radio voice.
Yes, which I adore. And also the traffic control center is just like so 70s, and everybody's like smoking.
Yeah.
It rocks.
Yeah. And then at the end of the scene, we have another like dialogue and shot thing where the main air traffic controller that we've been following this whole scene says, I'll try to track it to destination. And then we cut to the house in Muncie, Indiana, where we have a scene that truly gave me the heebie-jeebies.
Yes.
I want to point out in this shot that you can actually, if you look closely, you can actually see like a dot moving across the sky.
Which I love.
Yeah.
I do want to go back real quick to the previous scene, just because I think it's important at the very end. So there's almost a crash with one of the pilots, and then as like the tension kind of dies down, the air traffic controller is like, do you want to report a UFO? And there's like this long silence.
And everyone's like, no, I don't want to report a UFO.
Yeah, it's just like there's this long silence as everybody's like contemplating what they just saw, because they know what they just saw.
Yeah.
But there's like this intense stigma, and so they're like, no, I don't want to report it. And then there's another plane involved, and the guy is like, no, I'm not going to report it. I don't even know what to report it as.
I was thinking about this for a minute. I was like, why are they everyone, like a group of 10 people have like witnessed this crazy insane thing happen, but presumably like the people on the planes, like the passengers, are also like, yeah, something weird just happened. Why is everyone so hesitant to report? And then I remembered that the FAA like has super strict requirements for mental health stuff, in that you're like not allowed to have ever received mental health care.
Damn.
Yeah, like,
I didn't know
no,
that.
like the FAA is like built entirely on a like, well, we don't want mentally ill people flying the planes, therefore you have to have no mental health history, which in reality means that there's a bunch of like emotionally repressed people working air traffic control and as pilots.
Yeah. Air traffic control is a fucking crazy position.
Because it's not that you don't need mental health care, it's just that you've never gotten it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so that was a piece of context that I think put this into focus for me, is like, oh yeah, these guys don't want to be labeled as crazy.
Yeah, and I think that specific moment, it's part of the Close Encounters is really concerned with like the stigma surrounding like UFO sightings.
Oh yeah,
and like the labeling of people as crazy as soon as they say that they've seen a UFO. And it's like, obviously in this piece of fiction, UFOs are real and people actually see them, but in real life there's a lot of things that go into that like equation. And I think it Close Encounters is very, you should keep your mind open about everything, and you shouldn't close off the idea that UFOs aren't real just because, and you should like have an open mind and explore possibilities, and that is how we further humanity, I think, is kind of how this movie views it.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of many moments, and I really like it just for like the really long pause as everybody like contemplates, and I think it's a good cap to that scene.
Yeah.
But yes, we cut to a farmhouse in Indiana where we see a young sleeping boy. His name is Barry, and he is awoken by all of his toys seemingly coming to life on their own, including one of those fuck-ass symbol monkeys that I fucking hate. They're so scary.
We really get a good example of tropes in this scene. This is really like, Insidious, you ain't shit. I know what you are.
Yeah.
The Sesame Street and all the toys coming to life is like a really puts the creepy on in this scene.
Yeah, it's a very effective moment where everything just kind of springs to life, and then we watch as like it wakes the kid up. It's a very good like device to get the plot rolling in a really interesting way, because this moment does a lot of different things where it wakes up the kids. It sets like kind of like a creepy, unsettling tone. And then it gets the kid to look in the stairwell where we see like a light shining.
Yeah. And we hear like a noise downstairs.
Yeah, there's like some grumblings and scratchings, and he heads downstairs to investigate. And he finds the porch door is swinging closed, and the fridge is open with food piled on the ground, and there is everywhere.
Cue the thumbnail of this episode.
Yeah, literally, with amazing art. It's really good.
Thank you. I do it all myself. I don't use any AI because fuck that.
Fuck AI.
This will never be an AI podcast.
Yeah.
I might do some auto transcriptioning because people deserve good transcriptions.
Yes.
But that's it. Fuck AI.
Fuck AI. Yeah, and there's just like a mound of food on the ground. It looks really nasty.
Yeah.
It looks really gross. And my thing is like the implication here is obviously that like an alien got into the house and was like fucking around in the fridge.
Like raided the fridge.
Yeah, and it's like amazing that this alien has the munchies and just like goes and it just like throws everything on the ground.
Yeah.
Like what an asshole.
No, like total stone teenager.
Yeah.
I think this scene helps set a really interesting piece of like how the aliens are viewed in this film. I think that's a thing that like as we go through this Alien Contact series, I'm kind of always in the back of my mind like, okay, how are the aliens being characterized in this? And the aliens in this film are characterized as extremely American and extreme like I was about to say extremely human, but no, I think like they're characterized as extremely American. This alien drinks and eats bacon.
Yeah.
And also, what else did I put in my notes?
Just reading out as many products.
Reading out products, yeah. Yeah, no, like this alien can eat human food and chooses to eat human food.
Yeah.
And is just raiding a fridge in Muncie, Indiana.
Yeah. The other thing about the aliens, and I think this is a good like first step, is, and also the previous scene, they're kind of tricksters.
Yeah.
They're very into like doing like pranks on people. And I feel like one like playing chicken with a plane is a crazy example of that, but also just like going into somebody's house, eating their food, and then like throwing it all on the ground and running away is like another like trickster kind of moment.
Well, and then the alien, as Barry's like coming around the corner to find another pile of food, presumably Mr. Alamau comes back through the cat door.
Yeah.
And we have this fantastic scene where, we never see the alien in the scene. We only see like the viewer get a close encounter of the second kind.
Yeah.
Where we see like, okay, like the kitchen's been ransacked. But Barry has a face-to-face moment with this alien that's come through the cat door to get his cans of Coke. And I'm creating so much work for myself in this edit. But the alien comes back through the cat door, and we get this beautiful moment where Barry has a face-to-face, and we never see the alien's face, but we kind of see it reflected in Barry's facial expression.
Yes.
Of like shock and awe, and like I feel like this child was probably selected for this film because of the way that his face looks. He has a very gray alien face about him. And I feel like this shot really, really sends that home of like we do see the alien in this film reflected through the eyes of this child.
Yeah, he does kind of have like a classic like alien gray. It's I don't want to say it's weird, but like there's kind of like an uncanny like resemblance to the way that his face looks with like classic gray aliens.
Yeah.
There's like this really like subtle like similarity, which is really good.
Well, and I think also like with the spoiler alert, you should have watched the movie ahead of time. You should have done the required reading before coming to class. But like, I mean, he looks like the aliens that we see later in the film.
Yes, absolutely. Also, I do want to say, I don't know if this is going to be a controversial take. This kid has fucked up vibes.
Yeah.
This kid has horrendous vibes.
This child spends the entire film like running into traffic. No self-protection mechanisms on this kid.
Literally, it's like, are you trying to get yourself kidnapped, or are you trying to get yourself killed? It seems to be a little bit of both.
Absolute lemming of a child.
Yeah, and just like the countless times where this kid just like the actor that they got, he does a wonderful job. He's very good. But he just gives me real creepy vibes, and I don't like him. And I think I get annoyed that he keeps running into traffic, and I'm like, I don't fucking like this kid.
This film is really meant to stress out the babysitters of the world.
Yeah. I imagine if you're a parent, you're probably like, this is my worst nightmare.
Yeah. Well, I feel like it's his mom's worst nightmare, who we see throughout the film.
Yeah.
We actually, I think it's fun. Her exposition is one of the toys that's come alive is like a police car, and it slowly rolls towards her room with the siren going. Yeah. So basically, Barry sees the alien, like he goes through the doggy door, and follows the alien, and he's all giggly. And he starts following and they're like in the middle of like a farmhouse, like in a field. And like to Barry's credit in this scene, this alien probably looks like another child to him.
Probably, yeah. They're based on the aliens that we see later. Yeah. It's like, yeah, that just looks like a kid to you. You're just hanging out with your new buddy, who's just really hangry.
Yeah.
But upstairs, his mom Jillian is woken up by the wandering police car toy. And she looks out the window and sees Barry like running away and giggling, and it's like, oh fuck,
my child's just like out there in the dark.
Yeah. And she immediately is like, I gotta go get my kid. And I think it's here where we get like a good shot of him like running. There's like a wide shot of like the farmhouse and like the night sky, which is just like absolutely gorgeous. Mm-hmm. And he's like running away into the darkness, and it's a really, really amazing shot that
I want to say there's like also dots moving across the sky in this shot as well.
Yes, there's like little, it's like there are multiple points where it's like, oh, is that a shooting star, or is that one of the UFOs? Mm-hmm. And I really like it.
Yeah.
And then we cut to Roy Neary talking to his son. So Roy Neary, Richard Dreyfuss's character, he's kind of our main character.
Yeah.
He's at home, he's with his son, and his son is basically like, can you do my homework?
Yeah.
And Roy is like,
it's a fraction.
What's a fraction, dude?
It's a fraction. I don't understand fractions.
And Roy is playing with his model trains.
Yeah.
And we immediately get the vibe that Roy is kind of like absent-minded.
We get a one-line manifesto from him.
Yeah.
He says, I don't have to do your problems for you. You do your problems for you.
Yeah.
The one manifesto of a soon-to-be divorced loser.
Yeah. Exactly. He graduated, so he doesn't have to do problems anymore. Yeah. And he's playing with his model trains, and he tries explaining fractions by using them. And
there are thousands of lives at stake.
Yeah, he's like, hurry, son, there are thousands of lives.
He's not being helpful. He's not reframing the problem at all.
No, he's just like repeating it in a new way, which is, he's clearly not a great educator. But like the fact that he tries using the trains, I think this is like throughout the movie, we get Roy as like a very like childlike presence. There are like so many moments of this, and I think like an introduction of like he's playing with his trains and he does not give a shit about teaching his son.
Yeah, I think like his descent into madness really isn't helped by the fact that he is like a dick and a man-child.
Yeah. He's a real dick in this scene. His family is like, I don't know, I might be projecting, but it's like it's semi-dysfunctional. There's some bad vibes going on in this house. Like it's not a great family situation, I would say. And like there's like he and his wife Ronnie get into like a little bit of a fight. And it's basically they're talking about like what they're going to do this weekend, and his kids want to go to play golf, but he wants to go see Pinocchio. And he says, it's like, he's like, oh, I grew up watching Pinocchio. And if kids are still kids, they'll love it, which I think is another, like, I'm still a kid and I love it.
Yeah. He also, in this moment, he does like he does some like real patronizing abuser shit where he's like, okay, well, do you want to go play goofy golf where there's going to be a lot of shoving and waiting and it's not going to be very fun? Or do you want to see Pinocchio and see like pretty animals and have a great time?
Yeah.
And his kids see right through it, obviously, because
they yell golf.
Goofy golf.
Goofy golf. Yeah.
I guess it's just a 1970s term for mini golf.
I don't know. It's like, I don't know if this is like a New England thing, but like, I think of like monster golf. Is that something that you had?
Growing up in Tennessee, it was just mini golf.
Okay. Well, because like I
don't think we have like a golf regionalism other than just like lots of normal golf.
Yeah. Well, we have, so this is the real inside baseball that people are coming to this podcast for.
Yeah.
We have mini golf here. Like it's mini golf.
I'm aware.
But there's also like monster golf is like, I think it was probably a chain, but it's like golf inside and like a blacked out room with like glow in the dark stuff.
Oh yeah, we had that. It was called Galaxy Golf.
Okay, there we go. And so I imagine that Goofy Golf is probably a variation thereupon.
Yeah.
Had to walk down memory lane for that one real quick. Sorry, gang. And so they're talking about Goofy Golf, and then they get a phone call. Roy, who is like an electrician, gets a call from his employers, and they're like, hey, there's a blackout, you have to go like fix this line. And as he's on the phone, the blackout hits the house.
I love how the guy on the other line is like, have you lost your power yet? And then they immediately lose their power.
Yeah. It's a really good moment, and he just kind of like, he doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
He just stands there in disbelief, which I really love. And the other thing that I want to make note of is that they're watching the 10 Commandments on TV in this scene.
And Roy, the scene really sets up kind of the overarching conflict between Roy and his wife, Ronnie.
Mm-hmm.
I do think, like, some of the scenes later in the movie, like, Ronnie really loses her cool, but at the same time, she is, like, in a pressure cooker this whole film.
Yeah.
I really feel for Ronnie. She is, like, she is being tested this entire time.
Yeah.
And like, as much as I wish we could have the alternate cut of this film where after the shower scene she takes him to a psychiatrist.
Yeah, we'll get
there.
Yeah.
But like, this scene really sets up that conflict where, in talking about the 10 Commandments, he's like, oh, they've never seen the 10 Commandments, and she's like, that's a 4-hour film, and he's like, I was only going to let them watch the first two.
No,
the first 2 commandments.
The first 5 commandments.
Oh.
Which I love that line. That's a very good, it's a good line. And I think it is another, the scene is very efficient in terms of like setting up who Roy is as a character and all of his many, many flaws. And then, so the blackout hits, and then we cut to Jillian in the woods with a flashlight searching for Barry, just like way out there. Like they were already in the sticks. They're way out there now.
Yeah.
She's got no fucking clue where her kid is.
She's like looking for her kid. She's also looking for the pages. Like,
yeah. Slender Man is behind her, looming ominously.
Yeah.
The situation is fucked. Then we cut back to Roy, who is he's trying to read a map. Apparently, he doesn't know how to read
Roy
maps.
is terrible at maps this whole film.
Yeah, does a terrible job.
We get a
idea
call
where he's
back to
going.
this scene later.
Yes, which is very good.
He gets called a jackass too, which he is.
Yeah, he just like stops in the middle of the road, and this car like pulls up behind him, and he waves them on. I just went to make the motion, but I have numerous things in my hand, so I can't. But he like waves them on, and then as the guy passes, he's like, "You're in the middle of the road, jackass!" And I get it, but also this is the darkest road I've ever seen. It's the middle of the night. There's nobody else here. Just drive around him.
It's a blackout, and this is the electricity truck.
Yeah.
Of course he's in the middle of the road.
Like, what do you want from a man? Like, it's not like you can't get where you're going. You can just drive around him.
But like narratively, for reasons that this other driver doesn't understand, he does deserve to be called a jackass.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it reinforces the absent-mindedness. And so he basically starts moving again, and then he does the same thing. He stops in front of some train tracks, and
which is the right thing to do at train tracks.
Yes, and he pulls out the map again, and we get this is one of my favorite moments in this movie. I fucking love it. So he's stopped at the railroad tracks, and he's trying to read the map, and then a car again like approaches behind him, and then it stops, and then slowly he goes to wave it past, and then it starts like floating up into the air.
The heebies and the jeebies.
It's so good. It's just like this like silent moment of it just like floats up into the air and disappears, and he doesn't notice it.
This is the scene that like stuck with me when I watched this at like 12.
This is as a person who's had some scary run-ins in the middle of the night in cars, being followed. This is a strong moment. And as he's sitting there with the map, the mailboxes nearby begin shaking. Then his car shuts off, and then like a cone of light descends. So this cone of light descends from above him, and he's like looking up at it. I think the really cool thing is that they're like previously there were like just like the sounds of nature, like crickets and just like ambient noise, and then as soon as this like cone of light hits him, it like immediately goes like silent, save for like the buzzing of the light.
Yeah.
And like he like looks up at it, and it like burns him. And then his car starts like experiencing like zero gravity, and things start to like shoot out of like the glove compartment, and he's like everything's like floating all over the place. It's like a really, really great special effect moment.
I like having like my nerd like wanting to put. I know this is a soft sci-fi film, and I just really want it to be hard sci-fi. But like putting on my nerd hat for a moment, I thought when I was watching this scene. Well, first of all, the sunburn tells me that they're using like carbon arc lighting or something like that. Like what you learn from this is that the UFOs are using like lights that emit a ton of UV. Mm-hmm. But I was questioning for a lot of the film, like, oh, are they creating like gravitational disturbances, or are they just creating electromagnetic disturbances? And I do think we get an answer through a line of dialogue later where one of the like scientists in the Dark Side of the Moon arena is like, oh, we're seeing disturbances of a couple milligal, which is a measure of like gravitational I don't entirely know how it works. I'm not a gravity scientist. This is Natalie in the edit. So the gal is actually just a unit of acceleration. So 1 gal is equivalent to 1 centimeter per second per second. And a milligal is 1/millionth of a gal. But a milligal is a unit of gravitational pull.
Gotcha. Yeah. So that makes sense. I think that's in line with like alien folklore in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But basically he gets harassed by this alien. Again, they're doing their little trickster thing. They play a little prank on him. And then they like suddenly disappear. And he's just kind of like sitting there in the dark. And then he looks up at the sky, and he just sees this like huge looming shape like scraping across the night sky. Yeah. And it is such a good shot. And he basically
I love how it like almost looks as if it's blending into the sky. Like it looks like it could be transparent in certain parts.
Yes. Yeah. And it's like all of the little lights on it, they look exactly like they could be stars.
Incredible shot.
It's a really cool moment. And and his car turns back on, like it shut off and it turns back on, and he immediately gives chase. And just like starts following it down the highway. Meanwhile, Barry is running down a back road. Like he crests over like a little hill and is just like running down this like road, and he comes across a group of people hanging out in the back of the truck.
Yeah, we see like Fundy Dad and his 3 Fundy children.
Yeah, it's like this moment is like it feels kind of like a weird like, oh, these hillbillies moments.
Well, and also before Roy pulls up, Barry is also running up this I'm gonna call it a mountain because the guy's whistling coming around the mountain.
Yeah,
and it feels very symbolism.
Yes.
But Barry is like running up this road and is just like standing in the middle of the road for a couple of seconds before Mom finally like finds him and comes up after him and like tackles him out of the way as the truck is about to hit him. But I did think it's wild that in this scene, like the Fundy Dad and his 3 Fundy children, none of them get out of the truck to get the baby out of the road.
Yeah.
No one is trying to get the baby out of the road in this scene.
Nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit about that. But also, this kid has bad vibes.
This kid has terrible self-preservation instincts.
Yeah, the Fundy family saw this kid and they were like, bad vibes.
Yeah,
he can do it on his own. But yeah, Roy's truck rounds the corner as Jillian shows up and almost hits him. But Jillian like basically tackles Barry out of the way, and then immediately afterward, 3 spaceships fly down the road, followed by a glowing red light, and then
very like Decotora, like joyriding style. Like Decotora is specifically the like a Japanese subculture of people who like illegally trick out their like trucks with neon lights. I feel like I'm using it in this moment as just shorthand for like people joyriding around at night with neon lights. Yeah. It's like the cars from Cars in that one scene. You know the one I'm talking about?
I do know the one that you're talking about. That's what I was thinking about as you were talking about it.
You've all seen Cars. Yeah. No, okay, so like at this point in the film, we have established that we've established that these creatures eat human food, drink human sodas, put 4x4 lights, like put like the rally lights on the front of their UFOs, and also put neons on it. How do we not know that these aren't just like delinquent Indianans that have like tricked out like they're like ultralight helicopters or something?
It's possible. I mean, a helicopter does show up in the same location later, and so I could believe that conspiracy. I do want to note that like one of the spaceships here is actually like a oxygen mask that they put a bunch of like lights on.
Oh, interesting.
Which I think
which one is that? Is it like,
I don't remember which ship it is exactly, but there's like, they basically picked an oxygen mask because it's kind of got like a weird, unique shape, and so they just like put a bunch of lights on it and filmed it as like a miniature.
Hi, I spent truly way too long scrubbing through the film trying to find the gas mask UFO. It's in the final scene at the end where all of the UFOs come in around the mothership and not in the coming around the mountain scene, but it is still an interesting tidbit. Also, special thanks to the model maker who runs goldenarmor.com. You put your name nowhere on your website, so I can't shout you out. And also, you haven't updated the website in almost 10 years. But you modeled every single one of the ships for this movie and made my research a whole lot easier, so thank you. I love that. It's like very in line with like the Graflex Flash lightsaber.
Yes. Oh, I love the Graflex.
I love that they endearingly refer to one of the ships as an ice cream cone.
Yes. What flavor is it? Orange. Sorry. And so let's see, where were we? There are cop cars following them, just like tearing down the road. And the cop cars give chase, and so does Roy. He follows soon after, and then there's like a little chase scene. They go through a toll booth, which is a fun moment.
Mr. Cop leaves his jurisdiction.
Yeah. The ships fly off into the sky at like the end of a road, and one of the cops is like, wow, he's on the radio and he's like, they're really glued to the road. And then he immediately just
drives off the road.
He drives off the road and like goes flying like off this cliff, basically.
I love that they've characterized police officers accurately in this film.
Yeah, it's just like, this is like the dumbest guy.
Yeah.
Like unforced error of all time. It's crazy.
Crossing state lines and then immediately creating an insurance incident.
Exactly. It's such a funny fucking moment. And then we get like shots of the entire of Indiana, basically like zooming out as like the ships leave, the power turns back on.
Yeah.
And
we also get sort of like a plot beat adapted from War of the Worlds, where the thunderstorm that like kind of characterizes movement through the upper atmosphere, I think is what that's meant to be.
Yeah, basically like the mothership is always surrounded by clouds.
Yeah,
in a way that kind of like obscures it, and I think is really, really cool. It's got like its own like micro atmosphere around it. It kind of
it allows for some really foreboding shots later.
Yes, it's very good. And so Roy goes home. He is manic as fuck. This is a guy who manic episode bipolar vibes is like the best way that I can describe it. He goes home, he wakes up his family and is like, guys, we gotta go. And he piles them into the truck and goes back to the spot where he first saw the like ships going down the road. And as they're going, his wife Ronnie sees that he has like burns on half of his face, and it's like the half of his face that he like showed to the like beaming white light that came down. Mm-hmm. And they go back to this like mountain road, and they don't see anything, and Roy is just kind of like listfully looking up at the sky, kind of like longing to see them again. And there's this like kind of heartbreaking moment where his wife is like, I remember when we used to come out to places like this just to look at each other, and she kind of like tries to make it like a little bit of a romantic moment. Mm-hmm. But Roy is like,
he like can't take his eyes off the sky.
Yeah, like they do like a big long kiss, but while they're kissing, he's like angling his eyes up at the sky, and it's like this. It's so heartbreaking in a lot of ways. It's upsetting. And from there, we cut to the Gobi Desert, where the same group of researchers crest a dune in a convoy of trucks and helicopters. These helicopters are flying real low and real close to each other for no fucking reason.
These trucks are moving real fast for not being on any roads.
Yeah, they're just like, they're fucking booking it for literally no reason.
But we get our like second like shot of what I'm calling like the UFO syncretism theme of this movie.
Yeah.
The idea that like there's a lot of different like unsolved mysteries that are the result of these specific grays.
Yes. This time specifically, they find a ship in the middle of the desert. It's the Cotopaxi, which is a steamer ship that went missing in the Bermuda Triangle. And I do want to note here that it feels all of the things that go missing are like American objects.
Yeah. Because this is a distinctly American psychosis.
Yes. And it feels very American centric in that way, which I find kind of bizarre. And there's a moment later that we'll get to where they go to India, and like obviously the thing is these ships are visiting other places, but it seems like they're only ever taking things from America.
Yeah.
Which feels
shades of American exceptionalism in there, that we're the only country worth abducting.
Yeah, I think that's like the perfect way of putting it, where this movie is very like humanity is like ready to go to the cosmos, and like we've made all of this technological advancement that we're ready to take the next step. I think that's like a big like vibe throughout this movie.
Yeah.
And it focuses all of that energy specifically on America as sort of like the face of the world. Whereas like stuff like Contact, movies like Arrival, they spread out these messages to across the world, and they make it very very pointed that this is not a single nation, but a worldwide thing.
Yeah, no, this movie ends up betraying a lot of like base assumptions about like how alien life would act, what things would be like.
Mm-hmm.
I'll talk about this a little bit later as we get to it in the synopsis. But yeah, like I think this movie is really characterized by like, yeah, aliens that are like very Americanized, aliens that like understand specifically white people culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, aliens who like are visiting everyone, and like yeah, they'll dump a ship in the middle of the Gobi Desert, but they're not like, they don't see anything in a misspelled place in India worth salvaging.
Yeah. Which
a misspelled place in India that also looks like oh fuck, we'll get to this when we get to that scene.
Yeah, I know that they did film that sequence in India. I know that they were doing on location shooting for it.
Okay.
Yeah. If that was, we'll talk about it.
It doesn't look anything like Dharamshala. I looked at pictures of the place.
Mm-hmm.
One, it's called Dharamshala, not Dharamsala. There's an extra A and an H, and a few other letters missing.
I see.
But also Dharamshala is like a very lush part of India. It's like not a desert like the scene.
I see. Yeah, I know that they didn't film it there, but they filmed in India, just not in that exact location, which...
Partial credit, I guess?
Yeah,
not
kind
really.
of. Not, yeah. Almost worse that you only half tried.
Yeah.
But they find this ship in the middle of the desert, which is like a cool visual. And then the next day we cut to Ronnie cutting out a story about the UFO sightings from the newspaper, so that Roy doesn't see them. And while shaving, Roy begins to stare at the like pile of shaving cream in his hand, and like there is like this ominous like tone that starts like, it's kind of like a ooh,
yeah,
in the background as he just like stares at it like really like just like really intensely, and he starts kind of like sculpting it, and he can't like shake himself from it. Then one of his kids asks if aliens are for real, to which Ronnie and Roy get into an argument about it.
During all of this, the other kid, who is presumably going through his like sensory seeking era of being a child, he starts doing what I put in my notes as emancipated dissonance on the piano. There's a lot of scenes in this score where, you know, John Williams really just puts some like dissonant chords to like amp up the tension.
Yeah. And
this is one of those, and also there are some parts of the score where like that become like diegetic to what we see in the film. And this is one of those where like, you know, the younger brother is like banging on the piano, making some real nasty tone clusters. But I find it interesting that it's not it's samples that are dubbed over. I would imagine they probably made that piano silent so that the dialogue could be heard. Yeah. But also, you know, if you look closely, he's just like banging on the white keys, and banging on the white keys doesn't make the sound that we hear. You need to be like almost, it's a type of dissonance that you kind of have to be doing intentionally, even though it's meant to sound like a child just banging on the piano randomly. Yeah.
I'm so glad that I have a musician here with me to talk about this. But yeah, they get into this argument. Ronnie is clearly uncomfortable with the idea and is she thinks that Roy is like becoming delusional about it, and is like uncomfortable with the stigma and also like where this is heading. Like she can tell that this is going to go a bad place already.
Yeah.
And she tells him not to say anything until he knows what he's talking about, to which Roy says, how am I supposed to know what's going on if I can't talk about it? Which I think is
like fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough. I think this is another point in the movie kind of being radically open-minded in a lot of ways. But Ronnie is in denial and doesn't want Roy to go out again, and he insists that he's going to anyways, and that he's like, this is important. Like, I can tell that this is important, and worth telling people about and like reporting. And he says, I saw something last night I can't explain. And then she says the same thing back to him in kind of like a oof, ouch, like she is quickly not recognizing the person that he is becoming.
Yeah.
In a way that like, oof. immediately after that, Roy gets fired.
Yeah.
He gets fired so bad that is basically Ronnie picks up the call.
And they don't want to talk to him.
They don't want to talk to him. She's like, you can tell Roy this. And they're like, nope. Like, we don't hear it. But they just hang up before you can pick up the phone, which is crazy. And then we cut back to India, where people have gathered and are singing a 5-note phrase in unison after hearing sounds coming from the sky the previous night. Do you have anything that you want to touch on here?
You know, in like giving them partial credit, but not really. At the they are chanting. I believe it's Hindi. There's a lot of different languages in India, and I don't.
It's Hindi.
Yeah, and I don't know even a percentage of them, but I believe in the language is Hindi. They're chanting "Ayare Aya," which means he is here.
Yes.
So like at least that part is like they did their bare minimum research, even if they like recorded in the wrong area of a really big continent and also misspelled the place that they were trying to say that this was.
Yeah, not a great look, but go ahead.
Like shades of like, oh, there's a religious fervor happening.
Yeah.
I don't actually know. I don't know enough about Hinduism to comment on like how good of representation this is. I think we can infer some things about the other representation we see, though.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. I think the scene kind of feels like a little like navel gazy, I guess.
Yeah.
Which I think we get confirmed because the research team is basically like recording them as they're doing this like chant, and then they go to an incredibly like
we immediately cut to like it looks like a UN forum, but it's like, you know, it's all white people there.
Yeah, it's all white people, and there's like maybe like 3 or 4 dozen people in this like massive like conference hall, which I think is really fucking funny. It's like me and 40 of my closest friends are going to talk about this UFO stuff.
Yeah.
And they're playing a recording of the chant. And Lacombe, the like head researcher, the French guy, he hands out musical hand signs developed by Zoltán Kodály. I hope I'm saying that right.
Kodály. He was a Hungarian ethnomusicologist.
I see. And they're basically, you can correct me on this. The best way that I can describe it as a layman is it's sign language for like musical notes.
Yeah, it's sign language versions of what's referred to as diatonic solfege, which is do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Diatonic meaning 7 tones. It's the 7-tone major scale that we use in 12-tone equal temperament music. Technically, the sound itself, only uses the notes of a pentatonic scale. And the thing that like bothers me about this is like, so like in theory, if an alien civilization were trying to communicate with us through musical harmony, which is an idea I really love, that musical harmony would probably be based around the harmonic series, because that's a physical principle. Strings vibrate everywhere more or less the same in the universe. A vibrating string will create the same harmonics anywhere in the universe. And same with like a most like what we would call like a Helmholtz resonator. Will have those harmonics, or it'll have like odd harmonics or something. The harmonic series is a physical principle that shows up everywhere in the universe, is what I'm trying to say. And those tones appear within the first 8 harmonics of the harmonic series, which is also kind of how we figured out the diatonic scale. So like there's some believability here that like that these tones are like a melody that both we and an alien species would understand, and then characterizing it through like solfege and 12-tone equal temperament just feels like the idea falls a little bit flat. Maybe that's just me being like an ultra nerd, but like I think I would really love to see a film explore the implications of like how would an alien harmonic system work. And Close Encounters just isn't that film, but Close Encounters is like the closest thing in popular media we have to this. And so every time I talk with someone about, what if aliens had their own harmonic system, this movie comes up, and it's like, no, we're playing in the 12-tone equal temperament space.
Yeah, and I think part of the implication, I agree that like doing something more in depth with the musical aspect of this would be very, very cool, and I would love to see that movie. I think the space that Close Encounters is trading in is kind of like aliens as like observers, and they have like, I think the implication is that they have heavily researched like Earth, and that they've been like observing for a while, and so the implication is kind of like they know this is the scale that like Americans use, and so this is how they're going to communicate. And I think is kind of like the implication. I
can see that as like an in-text explanation.
Yeah, and I think
it's not a satisfying one to me, but I can see it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's kind of like what Spielberg was playing at with this, and your mileage may vary on that. I don't necessarily love it, and I think it continues the like American-centric viewpoint of this movie in a way that is kind of really lame and limiting.
I think the reason it disappoints me is that it's a very American-centric way of engaging with this subject matter.
Yeah, absolutely. Which sucks.
Aliens. I don't think it was, and it's like I don't think it was Spielberg setting out to be like, oh yeah, the aliens will be Americans. I think it was just like, I think that is really a point that the plot portrays more than it's like actually trying to engage with.
Yeah, it's not a purposeful thing in any way. I think it's just it's the bias of an American production and an American director.
It's the same forces that put Coca-Cola in that refrigerator.
Yes, exactly. And we hate to see it because there's a better movie out there that plays on this idea more. But we cut back to Roy waiting in the same spot that he saw the UFOs. Basically, there's like a ton more people here. Like word kind of got out, and everybody's back the next night to try and see it again.
He meets Jillian again.
Yes, Jillian and Barry are there again. They kind of have an exchange, and Barry is playing in the mud, and he's just like building this big mound. And again, both Jillian and Roy begin to like fixate on it, and they kind of like stare at it in the same way that he was staring at the shaving cream, and they start like passively like molding it a little bit. And Roy says that since last night he keeps seeing the shape and that he knows it's important. A lot of emphasis placed on it being important throughout the movie.
I think this is one of those areas where the motif comes off as like a little more silly to me than it is profound, where Jillian just like looks at the mound and like puts a finger through it.
Yeah, I really like it as an idea. I think I find it compelling that like these people have had this experience and now they can't get this idea out of their mind. I think that is like I
think it's like not an issue with the narrative device. It is literally an issue with the shot.
Yeah, exactly. I think because of the materials that they choose to like have them like play with initially, like shaving cream and like this what looks like just like a big pile of shit, like literally like like playing with like mud pies in the dirt. It kind of like deflates it a little bit, and it's like obviously it's got to be like an everyday object. Like that's kind of how we like get this going. It just like it feels so insubstantial and kind of passive in a way that like betrays the really cool idea at the core of it, I think.
Barry would find just like a pile of horse shit and like play around in it and like, mommy,
yeah,
sandbox.
Oh my. Terrible vibes on that kid. I'm gonna keep saying it. I don't trust him. I don't trust him as far as I can throw him.
Kid would hand you a wet
a wet Where did that come from?
He just has that vibe about him.
Watch out for the wet kid. He's out there.
That's going to be censored every time, and no one's going to know.
Oh, fuck. I forgot that is a... okay, I'm going to translate into non-advertising speak. That kid's going to hand you a wet corn puff. How far into the
We're an hour in.
We're an hour
We're
in.
making good time.
Do you think this bit has gotten tired yet?
No.
I hope not. Everybody, you're gonna have to deal with it because it's gonna keep coming up. Comes up a lot later.
You, the listener, you better laugh.
You better fucking laugh. So basically everybody's hanging out on this like little road, and they see like lights coming over the horizon, and everybody's like, oh shit, it's the fucking UFOs, guys.
Yeah.
And then it turns out to just be helicopters.
Yeah. And here we get our second leitmotif.
Yeah.
We get the and it's like a really heavy-handed one. It's the Dies Irae. Dies Irae. It's like a piece of plain chant, like Gregorian plain chant that gets used absolutely everywhere as like a shorthand. Usually it's used as like a shorthand for death. It can also just kind of be a shorthand for like anything that's like macabre and foreboding. In this situation, I would say that the Dies Irae is really getting used as a leitmotif to explore like conspiracy and cover up abstractly as an idea. I think my first watch, I thought it was specifically about the government, but I think it is like about this foreboding energy of the unknown and of like this is a thing that's being covered up and I don't know exactly what it is.
Yeah, I definitely think that is a very good read on how that is playing into it, and I think it's kind of like you said, it's used to signify kind of like death, and I feel like it's both like the death of the stream and the death of information. To really read into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool moment. They basically like buzz all these people hanging out, and then everybody runs away.
Yeah.
Kind of like a high school party.
The U.S. government also in this film, like, kind of like being like bully frat bros.
Yeah, they're not particularly violent, like outright violent, which I find interesting.
But they are like boorish.
Yes, they're boorish and like not trustworthy in a lot of ways, but it's just like this weird tone of like, you can't trust the government in this, like, to not cover this up, but otherwise they're kind of trustworthy.
I think it was wild how like kind of the way they create tension, the way they create believable tension towards the end is they're like, oh yeah, we'll gas them with an agent that'll make them fall asleep and wake up with a headache. And I'm like, no, they would just kill those people.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The U.S. government would, no hesitation, kill a couple civilians to protect a state secret. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
They would not reach for the sleep gas first.
Yeah, and I think that kind of points to like the weird benevolence. Benevolence isn't necessarily the right word, but it's like they're treating everything with a very like oddly light hand.
This is a theme that comes up in like as I read more like folkloric UFO syncretic beliefs. I'll get into this when I talk about the tinfoil segment a little bit. But like, you know, UFOlogy is a very like syncretic conspiratorial belief that I feel really ties into this like broader American conspiracy syncretic belief system. That like now is like I there are threads of it going through the flat earth movement. There are also threads of it going through like QAnon, Pizzagate stuff.
Yeah.
But I think one of the parts of that really is one of the narrative motifs that keeps coming up when you explore those kinds of conspiracy theories is this sense that like there are elements within the government that are insidious, but that not the entire government is insidious. You see it with UFO conspiracies where they're like, oh, it's not the whole government that's insidious, and it's not even like the armed forces that are insidious. It's the CIA specifically. This fixation on like this extra governmental organization that like, you know, in reality at this point in time was like overthrowing democratically elected governments in various parts of the world. But yeah, like you don't see UFO conspiracists latch onto the government as a whole so much as you see them latching onto specifically the CIA or specifically the ATF or like specifically some alphabet agency. And you see it kind of the same within like QAnon conspiracies of like, it's not the entire federal government is like terrible. It's that everyone except for Trump is terrible, and Trump is going to come drain the swamp, and we're going to have this, that, and the other, and leads to the QAnon shaman and a guy tasing himself in the balls in the Capitol. It did happen. That one was real.
Don't let them cover it up.
Don't let them cover up the guy tasing himself in the balls on January 6th.
Happy Tase Yourself in the Balls Day.
It's not January.
They don't know that.
It's true.
I did mention that we're recording this in June indirectly earlier, but they don't know when it is.
That's true.
I could be lying. I'm a liar.
It could be June 6th.
That's true. That's true. Anyways, back to the movie. I think we should get back to the movie.
Yeah. What I was getting into was like, like the way that like the U.S. government is handled in this film, where it's like there are like nefarious actors within the U.S. government, but it's kind of made out that like the entire U.S. government is like this ambivalent organization that like isn't entirely nefarious. There are just like there's kind of a like army guy character who is in like conflict dialogue with Monsieur Lacombe, where he's like, I want people out of this area, I want to protect this state secret, and Mr. Lacombe is like, oh well, we need to protect these people, and we need to this plays out in a very in a way that like doesn't seem to on its surface paint the US government as like benevolent, but I think still gives them a lot more credit than maybe the real life US government deserves.
Infinitely more credit than the US government deserves. I think the thing that like this movie kind of does is like, yes, the US government is covering this up, but it's one of those things where it's like it's portrayed as like it's for the good of everybody.
Yeah,
it's like for the government is protecting people by obscuring this and stopping them from like being put in danger.
Yeah,
and it's a little heavy-handed. They're trying to cover things up, which isn't good. But like they have the right spirit.
It's very couched in like there will be riots in the streets. I mean, like literally. I think this is now getting into like the next couple of scenes, but like one of the government officials who's like orchestrating the cover up is like, if this is strictly sacred cow stuff for those folks in Wyoming, if this mission fully develops, I get white knuckles thinking about what'll happen to them.
Yeah. Are those? I thought the white knuckles was about the astronauts that we'll get to.
Oh, I thought that was, I read that as being about what'll happen to the people of Wyoming if people discover that aliens visited us in Wyoming. Like there'll be like civil unrest about this.
I see. I think that moment I was reading the sacred cow stuff for people in Wyoming. I think that was like specifically about people in Wyoming like being upset that the U.S. military is like showing up in like their forests and like their land, and kind of like.
I could see that being like another meaning of this scene.
Yeah, because that's what I was. Because he makes some remark about like needing something in Wyoming, and then there's like a pause, and then he like looking at like the people, basically the astronauts that they've selected.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting out of order here a little bit, but that's okay.
Yeah. These two scenes happen like
it's like
coinciding each other.
Yeah. I lost my train of thought.
Do we want to get back to where we actually are in the movie?
Yeah, let's do that.
So I think we're getting into after the helicopters, we're getting into what I've referred to in my notes as the Timu Contact scene.
Yes.
I think that's unfair because this film predates Contact by like 30 years, but it's the Timu Contact scene.
The interesting thing is that Carl Sagan kind of had the idea for Contact as a novel around the same time.
Yeah.
And then the book doesn't get released for like another decade.
Well, and he had already done the Voyager plaques by now.
Yeah, exactly. So to set the scene, we cut to a radio telescope array where the research team has received. Basically, they've been playing this like 5-note, the 5 notes. Yes. And they've been playing it and like broadcasting it into space, and then they've been getting like a very deliberate signal back, but it's just like it's 6 numbers, and they're like, what does that mean? What do these 6 numbers?
What could 6 numbers possibly mean? 6 numbers all under 180.
Yeah. Some real geniuses working in the U.S. government once again, but they're getting the signal back, and then Lacombe's translator, who is a former cartographer, looks at the set of 6 numbers and realizes that they're coordinates pointing to Wyoming. And
he's like, I used to be a cartographer before I was being paid to speak French.
Yeah. He's like, this is longitude.
Not these 6 numbers are clearly coordinates.
Yeah, and they break into like a manager's office and steal this big ass globe to try and figure out where it is.
They pull it off its pin for no reason. This globe is clearly on casters.
Yeah, they just like punch it.
Yeah,
they punch it. It's the guy who like pops it out. He goes, "Let me hit this mother."
Yeah,
and then go boom.
Oh, and we also there's a couple of places in this film where we get to see synthesizers, which I love. I love a synthesizer. We get a great shot of a Yamaha SY2 in this scene. It's one of the subtractive synths that Yamaha was making before they bought the rights to the DX7. The DX7 wouldn't happen for probably another 10 years after this film.
I wish I could fill in the blank for you, but unfortunately I know nothing about synthesizers.
It's a single voice of the Yamaha CS80, which was famously used by like Paul McCartney and a bunch of other people.
I see. I know that name.
The synth on Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time, also Temporary Secretary.
I see.
It's the same. It's not the same model. It's the same voice though.
Gotcha. Yeah, and so basically the scene ends with Lacombe like playing the 5 notes on the synth, and then we cut to Barry playing the same 5 notes on a xylophone, which is like a good match cut.
Yeah,
that I really like.
This is actually and I think this is like an intentional thing compositionally. It's like because it's a fragmentation of the motif. It's like it's the first couple of notes and then it's something else, and that's like a very romantic era composition technique that's very paying homage to other composers of John Williams.
Fuck yeah, I love that. I fully thought it was the same 5 notes.
No, it's like he gets the first 3 notes and then he just kind of like bangs on the
he improvises like
on the low note. Yeah.
So Barry's playing the xylophone. Jillian does charcoal sketches of the shape that she and Roy have been seeing. And then she basically she has like dozens of these sketches in her house, and she puts them all in a bin and she like takes them out to throw them in the trash. And while she's like outside, on the horizon, there is like a biblical level storm brewing. Yeah. And it starts coming directly for the house. Yeah. In like the most horrifying way. Well, and as we, the viewer, know, the storm is like the mothership. And I think we also like see some red lights behind it. Yes. There is like very ominous like lighting inside of the. This is a truly terrifying scene. It is so spooky, so scary. And it literally starts flying towards the house. And then it's got the bright flashing lights in the middle of it. And then some of the lights begin flying out of the clouds and descending on the home as like Jillian starts like locking everything down. Yeah. And Barry is like watching the front door. He's just kind of standing there like creepy child style. He's like so excited. Yeah. And there's this really great shot of there's like red light begins to pour through the keyhole. And he's just like staring at it, and then we do a reverse shot, and it's like the red light is like pointing at him. Yeah. The sun's here. The sun is here, and Jillian is like locking all of the other doors, and Barry with the ultimate death drive fucking opens the door. Yeah. And it like red light is just like pouring in, and it looks like he opened the door to hell. He opens the door, just like hellish light. It reminds me of the Kramer What's Going On in there meme so much. It's the mothership, Jerry. They opened a chicken shop right next to his
Sorry. It's the mothership, Jerry.
It's the mothership, Jerry. But when he opens the door, there's also the really like foreboding like void sound that we've been getting, and it's like, oh, and then like he closes it and it immediately stops.
Hell noises,
which I love. And the like lights inside the house go out, and various like colors and flashes begin erupting outside and like coming through the windows and the chimney. Jillian,
we get like a horror shot of presumably an alien about to come down the chimney while Jillian like reaches in to shut the flap, the chimney trap. Yeah, and
it's going down. Evil Santa Claus is coming for her.
Yeah,
it's a really good moment. And then she takes Barry and they start running towards the kitchen, and as they do, there's a great moment where a vent in the floor, it gets like it starts being unscrewed from below, and like the screws are just like coming up all at once, and it like eventually it like pops open, and like smoke starts pouring out. It's so fucking good. And shit just starts breaking bad. Appliances like are basically coming to life and jumping around, like there are toys and shit going off again, and Jillian is the most scared that she's ever been.
Yeah, I would be too. This is an awful, terrifying thing to go through.
Yeah, literally.
And then of course Barry's like so excited. He's like he wants to die. He wants to be abducted.
Yeah. And he goes through the doggy door again.
Yeah.
And Jillian is like sobbing uncontrollably as she's like trying to pull her child back in by the legs. But the aliens get him.
This child who so desperately like wants to take a ride in the garbage disposal. Like, sorry for that mental image. I apologize. Might cut that one.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame you. Yeah, this kid is crazy.
This child who keeps trying to flush himself down the toilet to see where it goes.
He loves playing in oncoming traffic. Surely this isn't a bad vibe, or like this doesn't mean anything.
Do not leave this child unattended near a construction site.
Literally, he needs 24-hour surveillance.
This is a child that maybe needed to be on a leash.
Yeah. Truly. So then, actually, do we want to do a break here?
I think this is a great place to do a break. It's so hot in this room.
It's so hot in here right now. Okay.
Just like I imagine it was really hot in that house.
Yeah, it was probably steaming in there.
Those red lights we have established have a ton of UV.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. Anyways, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
See you soon.
And we are back. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
We definitely didn't just take like an hour-long break.
Absolutely not.
No time at all.
It's a seamless transition,
yeah,
which is what I had when I was younger.
Mine had a lot of seams, unfortunately.
So does mine. You can still see them if you look close enough.
Yeah. Well, anyways, so we were talking about the abduction scene, the abduction of baby Barry.
Sweet baby Barry.
And in the next scene, we cut to like a conference room full of like Air Force brass. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this is a great time to get into my tinfoil segment this week. Where this is a really foundational one. We're going to talk about Roswell.
Woo!
We're going to talk about, pulling up my notes. So the Roswell Incident is like, I think, as many of you know, like a touchstone of like 20th century UFO conspiracies. It's, incredibly well known, incredibly well trot out in popular fiction. I think this is a movie that's like really engaging with the sort of syncretic conspiracy that pops up around the Roswell Incident. The Roswell Incident is a really interesting expose in all of this, I feel. I think especially also now that like we're so far on from it that we have a bit better of an understanding than they maybe would have had in the 50s and even through like the 80s when this late 70s when this film came out.
Yeah.
So anyways, setting the stage, it's 1947, New Mexico. As many of you will know, 1947 was 2 years after World War II ended.
Right.
So everyone was like already paranoid as fuck because the largest conflict in human history had just wrapped up.
Yeah.
There was like a whole bunch of fear around like sleeper agents and partisans. And You remember in 2016 when we had the like evil clown epidemic?
How could I forget?
Yeah, how could anyone forget? So in the same way that 10 years ago we had an evil clown epidemic, in 1947 they were having a UFO hoax epidemic. There was a lot of fear.
Aliens.
There was a lot of, people taking pictures of pie tins in their backyard.
Yeah.
UFO mania was like in full swing in 47 already. And I bring that up because I think it's important to acknowledge that like people were kind of looking for these things.
Right.
Separately, around this time in the Southwest, there was an atmospheric research team from NYU that was working on a partially classified project. They were releasing atmospheric research balloons into the high stratosphere to do a number of things. Some of the unclassified stuff was just like, researching like the composition of the stratosphere and of the high troposphere, various other things of this nature. But there was a classified component to this project. Two things. One, calling it like a weather balloon really doesn't do it justice. These balloons were like long trains of equipment that like reached as tall as the Empire State Building. Like,
which is fucking crazy.
That's nuts. I can't imagine if I saw something like that in the sky, I wouldn't know what I was looking at.
Yeah, that would be, if you saw that in the sky, that would be pretty scary.
You saw that in the sky, you wouldn't think it was a balloon.
Yeah.
But so that's the kind of stuff that they were actually launching. And then the other classified part of this project is that there was lots of secret radar and acoustical equipment on these balloons because the U.S. military wanted to see if they could use them for spying purposes, basically, both looking for like evidence of Soviet nuclear tests, among other things, any number of things that the United States would want to know about radar and acoustical data coming from over the Soviet Union. I think there was probably definitely plans to be like, can we fly one of these over the Soviet Union without them detecting?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's funny how that lines up because it did, like you mentioned before, like 1947, people were paranoid and about like part of it was like post-world, like the Cold War is like kicking into high gear at that point, and so it's funny how like the UFO panic coincides with the United States actually beginning to do a bunch of research into the spying techniques and doing testing over the United States. And so it's funny how those coincide and kind of feed into each other almost.
Yeah. Well, and I think an interesting thing, so as we get into, they have this like partially classified balloon program, and one of the balloons they release, they're unable to recover. Right. The last known place that this balloon was spotted by the people chasing it was 17 miles away from a particular ranch in Roswell, New Mexico. I can't remember the name of the ranch or the owner of the ranch. Not super important to the story, I feel.
No, not at all.
The ranch was managed by a guy named Mac Brazel. So a rancher in Roswell goes out onto his ranch and sees a whole bunch of like crashed materials that look vaguely saucer shaped, probably because it's like a radio reflector or something. He sees that it's like a whole bunch of like rubbery material and like a like weird metallic foil and like some sticks is what the official report to like the police says. There are pictures that like the police took, and also pictures that like an Air Force officer who later came in and saw everything took. And then those scraps were taken back to an Air Force base in Fort Worth, Texas. Some conspiracy theorists will have you believe that all of the like alien materials were then taken to Lawton Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio, where they were stored at Hangar 18. That's like a syncretic part of the conspiracy theories that comes up. But there's no evidence to suggest that anything weird is being stored in Ohio, other than that radio telescope we mentioned last episode.
Yeah, other than all of the regular weird stuff that's
all of
being
the
stored in.
all of the other SCPs that they have in Ohio.
Yeah.
But so part of how the conspiracy comes about is that the Air Force has to cover up Project Mogul. That's this classified project they're working on where they're trying to spy on the Soviets through high atmosphere balloons.
Right.
They have to cover up Project Mogul so that the Soviets don't find out about it. And so they give this kind of like lame ass excuse that, it's a weather balloon.
Mm-hmm.
That's the official line from the Air Force, is like, this is a weather balloon, and like the Army Corps of Engineers or someone, or like some Air Force equivalent to the Army Corps of Engineers, was doing a research study, and this is a balloon that crashed on this person's stuff. It's not aliens, and it's also not like secret army stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that doesn't satisfy people because it's a bad explanation.
Yeah.
Like, no one's seen a balloon that looks like that. These scraps look more nefarious than you would expect a weather balloon to be. And some of that is because they are. It's because, like, this is, like, military research stuff, and this is, like, a balloon that if you saw it in the sky, you would not clock as a balloon.
Right. And part of the reason that when the government gives that explanation, it's only a half-truth, and when people they're not being lied to in some grand way. It's just kind of like almost like a white lie, but people can tell that they're being lied to, and then that kind of creates an issue later on.
And in that hole of information, we construct this like syncretic conspiracy theory about like gray aliens and potentially like Draconians that control those gray aliens, and plenty of other conspiracy theories that tie in with jingoism and Cold War fears, and also civil rights era fears. There's like a lot of I've been reading up on a lot of the like UFOlogy type stuff.
Yeah.
Just finding like the easily available resources on the internet, finding like popular texts in these circles, and like a theme that keeps coming up is like alien race mixing. This is a thing these people are really scared of, and I can't imagine why. There's nothing else in the American psychosis that could make me wonder why UFO conspiracy theorists are like so afraid of race mixing.
Yeah, that's fucking terrible. Oh my god.
No, it's we really don't have to hand it to these folks, and
no.
I think it's helped by the fact that the facts aren't on their side, and we expect a lot more. The Roswell Incident really got put to rest in 1995 when, I believe via a FOIA request, Project Mogul got declassified. And so we found out like what the Army was like actually doing secretive projects around New Mexico in that time.
Mm-hmm.
A journalistic publication called The Skeptical Inquirer did a couple of pieces on this. And they were actually able to track down some of the NYU researchers who were finally able to talk about this project they were a part of. And it's like, they had these researchers like come out to like, conferences of scientists and be like, oh yeah, I worked on this project. I can identify like the equipment in this photo. It's like a radar reflector. Yeah. Things of this nature. And so like, it really like if you're a skeptic, if you're someone who's like looking for easy explanations for these things, this all got put to bed like 30 years ago now.
Yeah.
And I think it is a testament to like, because I think the thing about like both syncretic conspiracy beliefs and also with aliens more generally, because these beliefs really come out of like an absence of good information on a subject.
Mm-hmm.
Like, conspiratorial thinking comes out when you don't have any good answers, whether that be because you don't know enough about, like, a particular field of science to have good answers, or, in this case, when it comes about because of, like, a legitimate government cover-up.
Yeah.
And, like, all of these folklore stories I look at, it really is, like, the aliens come out of an alien-shaped hole in the information.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a real testament to our human ability to like parse patterns out of nothing.
Yeah.
I think Roswell is really emblematic about that, where like we have good answers now, but it's such a compelling story, and it lends an explanation to the very real fears that the US government was doing weird stuff in the desert in the 50s.
Right.
Which they were. And it carries through to today into stuff like QAnon. You know, I think QAnon is like really a strain of the same sort of like, I guess the closest thing I could call it is like a faith system. The American syncretic conspiracy faith system that's like sometimes fundamental Christianity, but not always.
Right. Yeah.
But like, yeah, like QAnon is like really of this same ilk where like, oh, there are specific government agencies that are doing all of these like unspeakably terrible things. And, you know, whereas UFO conspiracists are like, well, we'll find evidence of the truth and we'll bring it to the public and we'll expose the CIA and they'll get shut down. And like, we the UFO people will get proven right. QAnon takes that like a step beyond and is like, oh, like Donald Trump is going to do all of this and he's going to drain the swamp and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And it's really, I mean, it's like a through line. It's like, it's the same sort of idea, just like grafted onto another focus.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the thing with beliefs like this is, like you said, there's an absence of information, and in the absence, people come up with an answer. And then there's a lot that goes into it, but part of it is like I know the secret answer that other people don't, and that like that's exciting to people. That gives them like power in their mind, like a power of truth in some way.
Yeah, no, I think like this feeling that you're smarter than everybody else around you is really powerful and tempting one.
Yeah, and then the other half of it is once you have that answer that you've created, then admitting that you're wrong becomes like an increasingly like harrowing prospect. And
oh my god, yeah.
So you can't admit that you're wrong, and so you dig your heels in more and more, and as you do so, the answers that do come up, stuff like when we know like we have like a genuine explanation for like the Roswell incident, that explanation becomes deeply unsatisfying because you've invested so much of your personality and like self-worth into this like a single conspiracy.
Yeah, and I think you know, moving swiftly back into the film, I think that's like a theme that is explored thoroughly both through like Roy's character, but also in the scene with the air traffic controllers and the pilots.
Yeah.
You know, this like fear of being wrong is a really powerful one. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting that the fear of being wrong, it almost feels like more often than not gets in the way of finding the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the fear of being wrong is also the fear of being othered, and there's the ostracization that comes along with it. And so, yeah, it plays a big part, especially as we get into the latter half of the movie here. So picking up where we left off, for reference, Barry just got abducted. So we cut to an Air Force base where Jillian has given her statement, and is now being harassed by the press. Basically, she's like, my kid got abducted by aliens, and everybody is kind of treating her as like she's crazy now. At the same time, Roy and Ronnie are there waiting to hear from the Air Force, sort of like I guess like it's literally a press conference, and they've invited a bunch of people who have been making claims about UFO sightings recently. And so that's why they're there. Ronnie is in a scarf and shades, classic like Hollywood starlet avoiding the press style.
Full Jackie Onassis.
Yeah, and it's like I love this look on her, but I can also like see the shame in her eyes, which sucks to see. In the meeting, there is an official who holds up a photo of just like a disc against the like light sky. And claims it's a UFO. Everyone in the room who reported sightings, like they come to life and they're like, "Oh, I've seen that one. That's exactly what it looks like."
I think I got it. Sorry, the listener can't see it. There was a fly flying around the room, and I think I got it.
Yeah, there was a UFO of our own in here.
Yeah.
Sorry. So basically everybody's like, "Oh, I've seen that UFO." And then he reveals that it's actually just a plate that he took in his back, like one of his kids threw, and then he took a photo of in the backyard. It's like literally classic,
real shit eating. I fooled you.
Yeah, he's like, I did that just so that we're not all, what does he say, like brass tacks or something like that.
Yeah, we're not all buttoned up here at the Air Force.
Yeah,
the organization of the military that notably like makes you spend a lot of time on like learning how to fold your clothes.
You got to look good.
Well, you got to know process.
Yeah. And so he's basically like, yeah, I faked this. And then he says, Americans have shot 7 billion photos in the past year, and yet there's no indisputable evidence of UFOs.
Got a line that ages like milk.
I want to get there in a second. But the thing that I noticed here is that the Charlie. Charlie is in the background looming. This scene is shot handheld, and so it notably because most of the other like the rest of the film is largely shot stationary. This is shot handheld, and like whenever the crowd like sort of erupts about like UFOs, like the camera starts to shake more, and there's like one point where it like tilts slightly and does like a Dutch angle, which I think is like
dynamic.
It's very dynamic. Not as dynamic as like in Contact, which I think has like a lot of really fun camera movement. This movie is definitely more traditional, but this is one of those like fun moments where they play with it a little bit.
Yeah.
A reporter jumps in and says that they've never been able to record a plane or car crash before and like put it on the news.
Buddy.
To which I say, wait 24 years and you'll get your chance, dude. Listen, it hasn't happened yet, but it will. The new century will bring wonders your mind can't comprehend.
Such as plane crashes on camera.
Yeah.
2 of them specifically.
Unfortunately. So he brings that up, and then the group erupts again before a different official jumps in, and he's basically like, there are a lot of fun ideas to believe in, and it doesn't feel good to go home and admit that like the thing that you saw is really a plane. Like that sucks. And I think that is a very real part of like conspiratorial thinking.
Yeah.
There is like the zest that a conspiracy can bring to one's life.
Yeah. No, I like we were talking about, I think like a lot of what makes conspiracies compelling is just the idea that like, yeah, there's this interesting secret knowledge that only you have and that no one else does.
Yeah. And Roy jumps in and he says, "Excuse me, sir, I didn't want to see this." To which he responds, "I sure wish I had," because apparently he's a life on other planet truther.
Yeah,
and he's been looking for 15 years and he hasn't found one shred of evidence.
Yeah, we meet Fundy Dad again.
Yeah. Oh yes. But the Air Force official is basically like, I don't know what you guys saw, but I know it's not UFOs.
Yeah.
And it's not anything we're testing. And Roy says, "You can't fool us by agreeing with us," which I think is like, that is such a good look into like a conspiracy theorist's brain.
Yeah.
Where no answer is satisfying enough.
Yeah.
Which immediately everybody starts laughing at him, and then the rural guy who is whistling coming around the mountain,
Fundy Dad is like, "I saw Bigfoot
in 1951. I saw Bigfoot, and she had a foot 39 inches long." And we get this really great shot of him, like there's like ashtrays on the table, and he takes one and then slides another, and it's like a perfect like 39 inches.
Yeah,
it's honestly pretty badass.
And then he's like, "And then she made a noise I wouldn't want to hear twice in my life."
Yeah, it's I really love this moment. It's really fucking funny.
and then I made a noise you wouldn't want to hear twice in your life. My headcanon is that this guy fucked Bigfoot. That was me riffing. That wasn't a line he said.
Okay, I was like, did I forget something?
No, I just in my mind I was like, yeah, and then I had sex with Bigfoot.
And I had the most legendary you can imagine. So yeah, basically at that point the conference is kind of like over and lost all credibility. And Roy starts drawing the shape again on a news article stating that Jillian blamed the disappearance of her son on clouds, which is so like patronizing and demeaning. And he's drawing so vigorously that his pencil snaps. And then we cut to a military hangar where people in red jumpsuits wearing aviators get out of vans. And
specifically the Air Force brass guy is like, "We don't support UFO theories," and then immediate cut to the Air Force planning out the mission.
Yes.
Also, I want to point out that the astronauts in this scene are wearing like satin flight suits. I love that. I want a satin flight suit.
It looks really comfortable.
Yeah.
And they have little booties on.
Listener, if you know where I can get a satin flight suit, let me know.
If you're a seamster and you can make us,
yeah, if you can make us custom satin flight suits with like a podcast patch, that'd be so swag.
That would be amazing. But yeah, they're getting out of vans, and they're doing like this insane coordinated, like why can't I think of the word?
It's like a real Right Stuff scene.
Yeah, they have this like march like down on lock, and they're handing over briefing folders, and they just like climb aboard a Greyhound, which I think is really fucking funny.
I like that the like part of illustrating that the government is covering things up is using like well-known brands for all of the government vehicles.
Yeah, I do want to note the scene is shot entirely from like low angles, which gives the whole sequence like a very clandestine feel.
Yeah.
Where it's like this is like secret, like we're hiding. And it also frames all of the like astronauts as like larger than life, and we're kind of like looking up to them, which I find really interesting. But yeah, the research project is disassembling and heading for Devil's Tower in Wyoming. And as they're like packing up, they're like you said, they're covering everything up with brands.
And they're trying to figure out how to get everyone out of Devil's Tower, Wyoming.
Yes, and they're chatting about that, and they float a couple ideas. They're like, oh, a flash flood, or like a plague, maybe anthrax. And one of them says, no one's going to believe in a plague in this day and age. Another line that aged like
actually a line that aged incredibly well is, well, there's always some lunatic who thinks he's immune.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good one.
And there's a lot of lunatics who think they're immune, unfortunately.
Yeah, that one hurt to hear. That one gave me some psychic damage.
Yeah.
And the scene kind of ends with the colonel in charge of the operation, and he says, what I need is something so scary it'll clear 300 miles of every living Christian soul, before cutting to gratuitous product placement.
Not any living soul of other religions?
No, apparently. Well, I guess in his mind it's Wyoming, and so nobody else lives there. I don't know. What about people who don't have souls?
The poison only affects you if you're Christian.
Woke poison. Yeah, but we get some gratuitous product placements for the and and then we cut to, this is my favorite scene in the movie, I think.
Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes in the movie.
Yeah. A Natalie patented favorite scene.
I would say so. I think this is a genius scene. We cut to Roy and his family at the dinner table, and they've got some mashed potatoes. You're laughing. There's a fly in my potatoes, which apparently was one of the child actors just said that. And everybody on set had to stop themselves from losing their shit. And you can see, oh my God, what is his name?
Roy?
Yeah, you can see Roy. It's Richard Dreyfuss. He puts his head in his hands, and you can see he kind of steals himself because he's trying so hard not to laugh, which I love. But they're passing around mashed potatoes, and they get to Roy, and he takes one scoop, and then he looks at it, and he does another, and then another, and he just keeps piling them to 6 or 7 scoops of mashed potatoes. And his family starts looking at him really, his wife is looking at him really concerned. And finally there's this really cool diopter shot where it's the back of Roy's head, and then Ronnie just sort of staring in disbelief and kind of disgust.
Yeah.
And he's shaping the mashed potatoes with a spoon and a fork, and then we get another shot where he sort of has his head down, and then his son's in the left side of the frame, and he's just silently crying, so many tears, as he just stares at his dad, having what is essentially a psychotic break.
Yeah. This is a really we were talking about this both earlier in the episode, but also before we started recording. This is a really tragic sequence.
Yes, it is. The way that they handle Roy sort of losing his mind over this is deeply upsetting in a way that I can't really it. Yeah, it's so effective.
It's there's a part of me that is I feel like I can't blame Ronnie because she has been in a pressure cooker this whole movie,
Mhm.
but she really does like fuck that one up. Like the like oh, we need to all go to family therapy and we'll all talk and no one will get singled out. And I'm like, no, he needs to go to a psychiatrist. You need to get your husband on an antipsychotic.
He is not well.
He is not well, and needs to be medicated.
Yeah.
And I think it's doubly sad understanding sort of like where like public conscious was around psychiatric care in the late 70s.
Yeah, especially for men.
Yeah. Oh, especially for men now even.
Yeah.
But like the the 1970s was very much a period where it's like, oh, what, the doctor's gonna like load me up on pills, and that's just like a really like, I don't know, it's a really tragic couple of scenes where we just watch this entirely preventable train wreck happen.
Yeah. The son is crying, and like finally Roy like realizes, like he becomes aware, and he starts crying too. And he says, well, I guess you've noticed something is a little strange with Dad. It's okay though, I'm still Dad. Which just like, oh fuck my heart. Oh my god. Richard Dreyfuss's performance here is excellent. He really sells it. He goes into like a little bit of a monologue where he says he can't describe what he's thinking or feeling, but that it's important. And we cut to him like where his like model trains are, and he's just like throwing clay and like molding it into this shape.
Yeah.
Getting like increasingly like frustrated because he can't get it right, and he just like starts like raking at it with like a fork and like freaking out.
There's like a really like foreboding shot where we kind of like zoom in underneath this mound of clay as though it's like some full-sized like object of the earth.
Yeah, it's spooky.
It's a really foreboding shot.
Yeah.
There's also a moment in this scene where Roy steps outside and is like, what does it all mean?
Yeah.
What does all of this mean? And both, I can't remember whether I'm pretty sure there's a dot going across the back of the sky, as there is in many of these shots of the night sky.
That sounds right.
But we also hear the DSRA again, which is part of where I'm like, I think that leitmotif is really meant to signify like the mystery aspect, him screaming into the night sky, what does it all mean? And hearing the DSRA almost as a response.
Yeah.
Is like pretty heavy-handed of the score.
Absolutely. I really don't like when he runs outside and he starts screaming at the sky. I think it kind of deflates what is like a really, not like overly subtle, but like a quieter moment of like characterization and like drama by immediately having him like go and like yell out the thing.
I agree, and I like I don't know, we'll probably have things to say about this as we get into the like the scene that takes place in the morning.
Yes, absolutely. So Ronnie wakes up in the middle of the night to Roy weeping in the shower. She like tries to get in, it's locked, and she basically like starts screaming and like breaks in. And he's just like curled up in a ball in the shower.
I've been there, unfortunately.
Yeah, it sucks. And he says, I don't know what's happening to me. And Ronnie says, well, like, I know what's happening to you. It's family therapy. You need to go to family therapy.
No, your husband needs to be on fucking Wellbutrin.
Yeah, he needs to go talk to someone about this alone. Yeah. And she's like full on screaming, waking up the kids. The son comes in and freaks out and starts calling him a crybaby, which I think it's a very juvenile taunt, which makes sense because he's a kid.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of something that kids level at each other, which I think reinforces the like childishness of Roy as a character.
No, like I think this like the family dynamic of the Nearys is really characterized by Ronnie being the only adult in the house.
Yeah.
And she's an adult who like gets pushed past her limit, and I would say probably makes a couple of bad decisions.
Yeah.
I also like I feel like I can't blame her character for any of it, because I'm like, yeah, you are in a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
You are the only adult in a house of 5.
Yeah.
And one of those people is your husband.
Yes. There are children in this situation. It fucking sucks, but like at a certain point, who am I to tell a person in this situation how to react? Like, it sucks for everybody. Like, everything sucks.
The movie presents a really shitty situation here.
Yeah. And so there's basically a screaming match going on. Roy isn't really like yelling back. He's kind of he's very subdued.
He's kind of being yelled at and is just like, he's clearly just really scared.
Yeah, he gets out of the shower and he says, "Ronnie, I'm really scared. I want you to help me." And she like starts screaming again, like, "This is bullshit. You're turning the house upside down. Like, I fucking hate you." I don't think she says I fucking hate you, but
I didn't get the fly.
We're being besieged by UFOs constantly.
Yeah.
And he like gets closer to her and he just says, "Just hold me, just put your arms around me. It'll really help me." Which again, oh, that it hurt. It's so sad. And basically the fight continues, and then Ronnie like locks herself in the bathroom. And Roy like goes and falls asleep on the like model train table in front of the model that he's been building.
Yeah.
Of the shape.
And then we get a really, I feel, important scene as we go into morning.
Wait. There's a really amazing, I want to point this out because there's a really good shot of the son watching the fight from his bedroom door, and he's like cast in shadow, but you can see like the tears streaming down his face, and then he like closes it. Really, really good.
That was a fantastic shot.
Yeah. But continue.
Yeah. So we actually also get another really good shot where Roy like falls asleep at his train table, and we like see something get brighter at the window. We realize a few seconds later that it's the sun coming up.
Yeah.
But I think that's like it's a fun shot, given that like every other time a light gets bright through a window in this film, it's aliens.
Yeah.
So fascinating shot. We cut to it's morning. Roy's waking up. The daughter, who is like the youngest of the three kids, is watching Looney Tunes on the TV. And she's like, "Are you going to be mad?" And he says, "No." And she just goes back to like pleasantly watching her cartoons.
Yeah. And notably, it's the Duck Dodgers, the like Daffy Duck and
it's Daffy Duck and Marvin the Martian.
Yeah.
And Roy kind of takes another look at his mound that he's building on his train table. He looks at it from an angle where it starts to like look like Devil's Canyon. You can see where he's like gone at it with a fork to make the ribs. And he looks at it and he just like kind of haphazardly pulls at the top of the mound.
Mm-hmm.
And it all comes off in one piece. And it's this, we get another one of these shots where it's like a shot and a line, and it's just meant to be this aha moment of, we see the like flattened top of the mound, and now it really looks like Devil's Tower. Yeah. It really looks like Devil's Tower, and we cut to a shot of like Roy kind of in disbelief at what he's seeing. At that same moment, we hear Daffy Duck say, "That's the last straw. Now I pull out my secret weapon."
Yeah.
And I just, it's one of those scenes that's like really an aha moment where Roy's looking at, he's finally put the puzzle pieces together and he's like, "That's the last straw.
Yeah.
I understand it now."
It is a really good moment of like, TV is constantly playing in the background of this movie, and I think it's one of the really effective. I think Spielberg spends a lot of time normalizing it in the first half and then uses it as like because it's in the background, he sort of pays it off in the latter half with like these moments where it becomes more like relevant, like resonant, I would say.
Yeah. No, I would definitely agree. Like the first half, when TV is like in the background, it really feels much more like it's just like
incidental. It's
incidental, and it's setting up the second half.
Yeah. And I think the other important thing, the kind of like the tragic part of this moment is that he pulls on the model because he's like, "Okay, I'm taking everything down.
Oh yeah,
we're going back to normal." And then he has this moment, and he immediately like launches into like he's like outside like pulling up bricks and like chicken wire,
like more manic than ever before.
Yeah,
he pulls the chicken wire out of the neighbor's yard.
Yeah, and he's like throwing dirt through the like kitchen window. And it is it's just like it's very clearly like a very public like psychotic break, which is like it's upsetting to watch.
The youngest son is like, "Can we throw dirt in my window next?"
And Ronnie is like, "Oh fuck no," and she takes the kids and goes to her sisters, and so that's kind of it for the family. This is where Roy like
and there's no resolution for them past this.
This is the point of no return. This is Roy is no longer capable of being their father at this point.
Oh, also, another thing I really want to mention about this scene, as she's driving off, he like gets up on the hood of the car, and there's this shot where he like slides off as she drives around the corner.
Yeah,
and I think it's interesting. During the power outage scene earlier in the film, we see very like a grid structure streets. It's a very straight road.
Mm-hmm.
In this scene where Ronnie's driving off, it's a curved street. As though it's like a cul-de-sac type neighborhood.
Yeah, they're in the suburbs.
Yeah, well, but that discrepancy is interesting to me because it really does. I do think the shot is really made by it being on a curved street, because Roy falls off kind of onto one of the rule of thirds action lines.
Yeah.
And the camera's not askew, but the curve of the street makes it look almost like a Dutch angle without it actually being a Dutch angle.
That's true.
It's a very off-kilter feeling scene that really, I feel like, supports that, like, Roy has just embarrassed himself in front of the entire neighborhood, and the cinematography is really reinforcing that feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing is, like, the other curved road that we see is when is like the road that Barry almost gets hit on, like where the initial like UFO sighting is.
Yeah.
And I think that is worth noting. And we cut to sometime later, and he's covered in grime, like he is like full of mud.
We sort of get this like scene that kind of feels like, you know, he's covered in mud and he looks out the window and sees all of the people like out in like the neighborhood, and he like shuts the blinds so that we, the viewer, see the clear visual language that he's like isolating himself from the world.
Yeah. And basically we get this reveal that he has been like building this gigantic, like near perfect model of Devil's Tower in the middle of the living room. It is like massive. It towers over him. And he's put the finishing touches on it, and he's just kind of like admiring it. And there's a great shot, where like, as he's like looking up at it, and Devil's Tower is kind of like hourglass shaped, I would say, or it's kind of like cylindrical, and it's got like a flared base.
Yeah.
And on the TV, there's an ad or something, and it's got an hourglass that resembles Devil's Tower, and it's like sort of mirroring on the TV.
It's a scene from Days of Our Lives, which was a TV show that was popular in the day.
Yes.
And I think it's interesting, once again, like the use of like incidental TV dialogue. Where during this scene that's very much about like Roy's isolation from the neighborhood, from the rest of his community that he's just like been insane in front of, there's a line of dialogue here where I don't know the names of the characters, but one of the characters is like, I'm the mailman here. And she's like, just leave it at the door. I don't want to talk to anyone. Which, you know, very telling in a scene where we're exploring Roy's isolation from his community.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was an interesting little detail. But then the broadcast, it goes to even more product placement. We get a commercial.
Yes, the gratuitous ad with the draft horses.
And then we go to exposition newsreel.
Yes. Well, we also, so Roy gets a call from Ronnie, and they have this, there's like a newscast going on in the background, and they sort of like have this like one-way fight from our perspective, where we get the implication is basically like Ronnie and the kids are staying at the sisters indefinitely, or she's filing for a divorce, out and out. And the newscast going is about an army rail shipment that has like released a bunch of nerve gas in the Devil's Tower area. So that's going in the background. I think there's a really great line from Roy while he's fighting with Ronnie where he says, "I'm an adult, okay?" Even though there's no such thing.
Yeah, really telling on himself here.
Yeah, and he's like, "It's a joke," in kind of a very Seinfeld way, very Seinfeld delivery.
That's a very George Costanza thing for him to do.
Oh, so true. So part of the newscast is that they start talking about Devil's Tower, and so both Roy and Jillian finally like see it on TV, and they're like, "Oh, this is the thing that I've been obsessing over.
Yeah,
like, this is it."
Them and a bunch of other people.
Yes, that we'll meet very briefly later on. But we specifically get shots of them sort of like crying while looking at the TV, and like having this like. It's like this weight is released for them, which I find really interesting.
This, oh my god, I've not just been like losing my mind.
Yeah. So Roy heads up to Wyoming, and he still sucks at navigating, and he almost crashes a couple times.
Yeah.
But he heads into this town, like right outside Devil's Tower, and he finally is like reunited with Jillian. I do want to shout out, there's like a guy who's like hawking like canaries for like basically like canary in the coal mine, and then also gas masks, and
even my dog has a gas mask.
And there's a dog with a gas mask on, and it's so cute and funny. He goes, "All of you are worth more than a gas mask," or it's worth more than a dog. It is so fucking funny. It did like really truly like snake oil salesman delivery.
The really good shot.
Yeah, and so they reunite, and they're like, "Okay, let's do it." And they drive through some fences and past some barricades to get closer to the site, and then they're caught. And the going back to the canary in the coal mine thing, I do want to shout out that like Arrival, one of the ultimate first contact movies, also has a canary in the coal mine moment.
It's a good plot beat.
Yeah. So they get caught by the military, and then they're separated, and Roy is interrogated by Lacombe. They ask about like, "Why are you here? How have you been feeling? Are you an artist?" And finally, the interpreter is asking all of these questions, and finally he goes, "Have you had a close encounter recently?"
Roll credits.
I
love how in this scene, Roy, like the spirit of every baby boomer enters Roy in this moment, and he asks to see the manager.
Literally. He's possessed.
He's like, "I want to speak to whoever's in charge," not realizing he is speaking to who is in charge.
Yeah, and literally the translator is like, "Mr. Lacombe is the highest authority here," and he's like, "He's not even American."
Yeah.
And they ask him, "What did you expect to find?" And he goes, "An answer. That's not crazy, is it?" And he like launches into a small tirade about like, "Who are you people? What's going on? And like, if this is really nerve gas, then why do I know so much about Devil's Tower? I've never even been here. I've never seen it before, but I know all like." And he basically he does like a he basically does like a conspiracy theorist like final stand.
He's having a real baby boomer moment.
Yeah, and just like yelling and being like, "I want answers now. I want my way."
Yeah.
And they take him to a helicopter. They basically load him in with all of these other civilians who have like showed up to like the site because they've all been called here.
Wait, sorry. I also have in my notes that he does loudly say, "I want to lodge a complaint."
Yeah.
With fucking who? You're on a black site, dude.
you need to complain to God. That is the only authority left. Yeah, he gets taken to a helicopter where like Jillian and like a bunch of other people that we will only know for like 5 seconds.
I mean, some of these people I think are meant to recognize from when everyone the second night came up the mountain.
Well, the thing is, so Lacombe, before he gets taken to the helicopter, he puts out like 12 pictures because there's 12 people. And the only person that Roy recognizes is Jillian.
Yeah.
And so I think the implication is that these are people from all over, especially because there's a character named Larry who like runs up to Devil's Tower with them, and he's from LA.
Yeah, I remember Larry.
Yeah, and so I think it's just a bunch of randos, and they're like shoved into this helicopter, and they're going to be taken away. And Roy is a free thinker. He's not a sheeple.
Yeah, we have another moment that ages some kind of way.
And he takes off his gas mask and he goes, "The army's getting us out of here because they don't want any witnesses." And then this old lady is like, "But if the army doesn't want us here, then that's none of our business."
Freethinker takes off his mask and said, "There's nothing wrong with the air."
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the air. Look at me, I'm fine.
It's okay, wait 50 years.
Yeah. A lot of wait 50 years and you'll get your moment. Spielberg was really ahead of his time. But yeah, he's basically like, he's giving a rousing speech to these people to get them to like go run up to Devil's Tower with him
and to take off their KN-95s.
Yes. And at the same time, Lacombe is meeting with like the colonel, and he's theorizing that all of the citizens or civilians have had a vision implanted in them that has compelled them to come here. And he like looks out the window, and I think they're like running away, and he doesn't say anything because he wants them to get away. And Roy, Gillian, and this other guy, Larry, they run off, and the colonel gets a call to get them off the mountain or dust them with sleep gas. And Lacombe is like, "No, we should let them show up."
I think that this was a moment we agreed that they were being like really generous about the U.S. government, because the U.S. government would have absolutely killed these people.
Yeah, and like they wouldn't be sending these people home.
No,
those people would be detained.
Yeah.
Crazy moment in many ways, I think. But Lacombe says, like, these people were invited, they should be here. And they're running up the mountain, and Larry, in my notes I have Larry or whatever the fuck his name is. He just, like, stops running, and he's, like, sitting on a rock, and he's like, "They're just crop dusting."
He decides to hitchhike.
Yeah, he's like, "LA!" And then immediately gets hit with sleep gas.
Yeah.
And fucking conks out instantly.
Get sleep gassed, idiot.
Yeah, in a way that like makes me question, is there a different version of this where it's like that's like poison and that guy just died?
I would not be surprised if there is a cut of this film where that is poison and they just had to like in dialogue change it to sleep gas for ratings.
Yeah.
This is a movie that predates PG-13, so it's like you either get that PG rating or you get the R rating.
Yeah, and I think the
Death Gas is probably an R rating.
Yeah, I would imagine so. It's kind of like the E.T. thing where like they edited out the like secret agents holding guns and replaced them with like radios or whatever.
Yeah.
They're probably a Spielberg being like, I don't know if we should do this.
Gotta get that PG.
Yeah. And so Roy and Gillian are climbing up the mountain, and there's this really funny part where they're like right at the top, and like Gillian's like, "Come on, Roy, it's just like another 5 feet and then we're there." And there is like this, it's like steep but not like a sheer wall, and he falls down it 3 times. Another
like kind of flop of the shot.
Yeah,
where they're like, this hill, it doesn't look very steep.
Yeah, they're trying to really milk it for like tension, and because like the helicopter is like coming up right behind them, and it's like, "We gotta go, Roy." Yeah. But he just like keeps sliding down it, and it's like, I would simply climb up that manageable slope.
And I mean, I don't know how I would actually behave being chased by an army helicopter.
If I was being chased by an army helicopter, unfortunately, I would probably give up. But if I had to get up that little slope, I think I'd be able to handle it.
I do think it's really funny. This is probably a thing that got cut for time, but I think it's really funny that the soldiers spend like all of 30 seconds on that slope before being like, "Fuck it, we're gonna dust."
Yeah, they're up there for like 5 minutes, and then the guy in like charge of like the little company that's like on the mountain is like, "There's like 1,000 places to hide up here," and the colonel is like, "Fuck it, just crop dust them."
Chemical weapons, I guess.
Yeah, and so Roy and Gillian,
it's not a war crime as long as it's against civilians.
Famously. Roy and Gillian make it to the top, and they see that the military has like basically built this site where they're preparing to meet the aliens. They have like a little runway.
They've codenamed it Dark Side of the Moon.
Yes, which is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And they have like all of these like towers, and there's just like tons of people around, like all sorts of like researchers and like staff. And they're just like, they're waiting. And on the other side of the mountain, lights begin to flash across the sky and shift before the like original 3 ships like appear
They
and like fly over.
Yeah, they also have this beautiful like organ console that is our second vintage synthesizer in this film. That was a custom built ARP 2500 console. The ARP 2500 is like a semi-modular synthesizer, so it's like 3 big racks already, and those like 3 racks are put into like this beautiful custom console. It had a custom white faceplate. They never actually turned the synth on for the production because the sound was all dubbed over. And the oil-based smoke they used in the smoke machines for that shot completely ruined the electronics of that synth. And so that synth actually never got played. And I believe there may have also been some controversy about them not paying for this synthesizer they broke during the scene.
Ooh.
So a little bit of a sad story about that ARP 2500.
Yeah. Do you know the person who like plays the ARP on set?
I didn't clock who that was.
It is the vice president of engineering from ARP.
Oh, wait, was
he was the person sent to install it on the set.
That rules.
And Spielberg was like, "Oh, you're perfect for this."
Nice.
And
I thought you were about to be like, that was Alfred R. Pearlman.
No.
That would have been cool.
Just like a close associate, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, that was like a fun little bit of lore that I found behind the scenes.
This is Natalie in the edit. I wanted to actually provide the name of this man. His name is Phil Dodds, and yes, he was the vice president of ARP. He worked very closely with Alfred R. Pearlman on designing the 2500, the 2600, and a number of other ARP synths. To learn more about the legacy of these synthesizers, I highly recommend the resources provided by the Alfred R. Pearlman Foundation. You can find their website in the description. I think also, while we're talking about the organ console, there's a fantastic shot later when one of the larger ships lands where we're like panning behind the keyboardist's head, and he's standing on like a platform behind the organ console, and then the organ console starts to move out away from the camera.
Yeah.
And we get this false vertigo zoom shot where the camera is stationary and the actor is stationary and the set is moving around them.
Yeah.
And it creates the vertigo effect without actually changing the camera position or the focal length.
Yeah. It's there's a lot of cool moving parts in this like sequence that
total chef's kiss of a shot.
Yeah, it's really awesome. I love how like he's sort of like staring in awe at the ship, and he just sort of like steps off the part of the platform that he's on and like falls down and then like goes and climbs back up on the organ platform. It's very cool. And also like another part of the organ is that they have like what is basically, is it a staff? It's like it's like a bunch of lights behind it, and like whenever they play a note, it like lights up a corresponding part.
Yeah, I think that was just kind of like an abstract light system that they developed for the film to look stunning.
Yeah, and it looks really cool. So like it starts lighting up as they play.
To my knowledge, that's not like encoding any like music theory information.
Okay, gotcha.
Although there's a really silly part where they're like, give them 5 quavers and 6 semi-quavers.
Yeah.
And I think that's really funny because like musicians don't even talk like that. Like, okay, so like quavers and semi-quavers are specifically a British music theory thing. The only time I have ever heard American music theorists call them quavers and semi-quavers is when they're deliberately trying to be annoying. Yeah, I think that's really funny. No one in America calls them that. Maybe they did in the 70s, but not now.
Except for this one Southern military official.
maybe Spielberg like knew Bernstein, and Leonard Bernstein was like, oh yes, the semi-quavers.
So basically, the government starts recording and filming everything, and they have the giant synthesizer set up, and then they begin playing the 5-tone sequence faster and faster. And then the UFOs begin like spinning around and responding before they fly away. And then everybody sort of like starts celebrating, and they're like, mission accomplished, way to go, everybody. And they're like giving each other high fives and shit. Yeah. And then we see that like more is coming around the other side of the mountain.
Yeah. We see the clouds again.
Yeah, the clouds come out again. And I also want to note the way that they got the cloud effects, because they're really cool, is they had like basically like a bin. they had salt water on the bottom and then fresh water, and they would shoot paint in, and then because of the way that like the density worked, it would like
That's really cool.
basically cause like cool like cloud like flowing.
That's really clever.
On. It's very clever. It's very cool. The special effects are like mwah.
Yeah. I think it's as we start to see the mothership, there's a really silly shot where Roy is coming down a ladder into the arena, and we see someone in coveralls like grab him like they're gonna tackle him, but then he runs off into the porta potty.
Yeah, because he's terrified. But yeah, the mothership starts showing up, and Roy and Jillian are like having this conversation about like getting closer to the site, and Roy is like, I want to like get down there, and Jillian's like, I'm not ready because Barry's not there. But then they kiss, and Roy goes down. The mothership lands on the little runway, and they basically, the humans get into a musical conversation with the aliens, like playing. They start by playing the 5 notes back and forth, and then they just start like playing, like basically the aliens will play something, and then the humans are playing something in response.
Yeah. And I have some things to say about this scene. I think it's interesting how the composition of this scene, this piece is called The Conversation, as I think you can understand.
Yeah.
I think it's really fascinating how, one, the call and response of this scene, all of the human generated tones are like, you know, in diegetically, it's a synthesizer, but we like hear dubbed in like woodwind samples. We hear like a clarinet and like an oboe.
Yeah.
And then the alien sounds are all overdubbed with low brass.
Yeah.
And I just think that's like so fascinating. It's like, you know, it's a really like bread and butter compositional technique to be like, oh, the big scary aliens sound big and scary and like low brass.
Yeah.
Whereas the like fragile and curious and sweet baby boy humans we're characterizing with oboe sounds.
Yeah. I think the other thing I read, I'm half remembering this, so I might be wrong, but I read like a piece of trivia that was like the aliens are, all of their notes are played via tuba, because tuba is like a complex and like difficult instrument to play, and it's supposed to mirror like how the aliens are like, I don't want to say more advanced because it sounds like I'm shitting on like woodwind players, but the idea is that like they have like this more complex instrument that they're using to play like the same thing, and it kind of like is supposed to be representative of like the technological gap between them.
I do know some double reed players that would take exception with that.
Yeah, I imagine I think this is something that Spielberg said, and it's like, what does Spielberg really know?
Yeah, guy who doesn't play bassoon.
No, his mother was a concert pianist, though.
That's still not the bassoon.
Infamously. But yeah, they one of the like guys says that they seem to be trying to teach us a basic tonal vocabulary, which I think is just kind of like a funny line.
And then I think it's funny later in the sequence, they are like, we have a translation lock. And I'm like, what translation lock?
Musical?
How have you parsed syntax out of this?
It's the musical vocabulary.
I actually, when we were first planning on doing this movie, I thought I was going to get to talk more about Sol Re Sol, but the movie doesn't actually mention Sol Re Sol anywhere. It just kind of makes some vague allusions to it. And a lot of people know about Sol Re Sol because they found the hand signs interesting.
Yeah.
And that's like a pretty quick jump from like learning about the Kodali hand signs to learning about, you know, the creation of a language that entirely uses diatonic solfege as syllables. But the movie never actually makes that connection. The movie never mentions Sol Re Sol. It just like has these vague ideas about like, oh yeah, the diatonic scale and like assigning semantic meaning to it. But anyways, I think the translation lock thing is like really funny because it's just not kind of nonsensical.
Yeah, basically they're like, we got a translation lock, and then the computer takes over playing, and it starts going fucking crazy Sonic mode.
We got a translation lock. It's Wagner. You get a translation. It's just the lyrics to Tristan and Isolde.
Eventually, the mothership comes to a stop, and then a door opens on the runway, and it there's basically like it's like overexposed, like really bright white light coming from inside of the mothership, just like pouring out, and slowly soldiers from Flight 19 start coming out, and they're like over the announcer, they're kind of like confirm like this guy who is on the flight is like home. And they're sort of reading that off, and then other random people start coming down, including Spielberg's dog Elmer, and then Barry, who is reunited with Jillian.
I love in this scene how we get confirmed that like the aliens have in fact just been casually kidnapping people this whole time.
Yeah, just for fun.
Yeah, and all trickster, divine trickster, like characterization aside, and like the silly stuff about them, they are kidnapping people this whole film.
Yeah, and
the danger is real in a lot of ways.
Yeah, just like putting them on ice for like 32 years at a time. Like
there's a line about relativity that makes no sense. Where they're like, they haven't aged a day. Einstein was right. About what? When did Einstein say anything according? And then they were like, Einstein was probably one of them. And I'm like, sure, whatever.
Which is crazy.
That makes as much sense as the thing that was said before it.
Yeah. I have that one written down. I want to say that Spielberg's dog being named Elmer is a nice tie-in to Contact.
Yeah.
Because we talked about like Elmers as like mentors for people getting into like radio as like a hobby.
Yeah.
Not intentional in any way, but like a fun little link, I think.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I want to add, there's another leitmotif in here that is really backloaded on the end of the film, but I think it's really wonderful. It's this like I didn't analyze it. I've just been calling it like an ultra Lydian chord. It's this very like 4 major 9. There's a sharp 11 in there sometimes. Chord, very like staring at the brightness of the sun type feeling. Mm-hmm. And it comes about, I think, when we first see the arena. It comes about when we first see the mothership, and it comes about when we first see an alien come out of the spaceship.
Yes.
The first time we actually see one of the little green men in the film.
Yeah. Before that, Lacombe asks Roy what he wants, and he says he just wants an answer. And then Lacombe and his translator like go argue with the government. And they're basically like arguing like we should let him go on this ship with like the other astronauts. Because like this is like what he needs, and he's not going to be satisfied if he doesn't.
Should let a guy cook.
And then while that conversation is happening, we get the really awesome lanky alien puppet who like comes out. It's so weird and creepy. It looks like it's kind of like on all fours at first. Yeah. And then it like stands up.
We really get like the outline of like a daddy long legs.
Yeah. And then it stands, and it looks a little more humanoid.
Yeah.
And it gives us the crucifixion pose. Real classic style.
And we hear the ultra Lydian chord as he's like reaching up to the heavens.
Yeah. And then all of the like little like gray style aliens come out.
Sorry, I don't know that aliens pronouns. While they reach up to the heavens.
But yeah, we get like the classic like little gray aliens who are all played by like children who went to a local school, and the costumes, they're all backlit and like overexposed, so you can't really see any of the details, but there's like a couple of shots where like the lighting like fucks up a little bit and you can see them and they look so weird.
Yeah, you can see the little bug eyes. It's really good.
Yeah, and like they have like little lips.
Yeah. And then we see a little guy come into focus, and he looks a lot like Barry.
Yes.
And we get this amazing shot that ties up the film where this alien that looks a lot like Barry, we get like a shot of his face, and then reflected in him the awestruck eyes of like 100 people in this arena.
Yeah.
Who are like, meeting an alien for the first time.
Yeah, it's really awesome. But basically Roy suits up with the rest of the astronauts, and then they all go in front of the aliens, and the little gray guys are like all jumping around and like grabbing at Roy, and they only want him. They're like, we're gonna take this one. It's like Uncle Owen and Luke at the beginning of Star Wars, where they're like, we want these droids. And he goes aboard, and then the final interaction is Lacombe doing the like hand signs, and then like an alien like responds back in the same way.
The alien that looks kind of like Barry.
Yes, and there's like a smile and an exchange, and then they get back onto the ship,
Yeah.
and then they fly away, and that's the end.
A part of this scene that like I think is a little bit like just like never goes addressed by the film is like Roy's family definitely thinks that he like disappeared and killed himself, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's probably going to be the line from the government.
Yeah, realistically, is like, oh yeah, your husband had like a real bad mental health break and like fell into a ravine.
Yeah, we don't know where he is. He probably hurt himself.
Yeah.
He wasn't doing well, which just fucking sucks. That's like really dark.
But it's just like a real like light note ending for like kind of a tragedy.
Yeah, ultimately this movie feels like a tragedy in a lot of ways.
It's an ending in kind of a similar way to Grease, where like Grease ends.
Yeah.
And it's like the moral of the story is that she changed herself to be popular and everyone likes her now.
Yeah.
And it's just a little bit like we're really ending on this note.
Yeah, this movie is very weird. It feels tonally kind of confused in a lot of ways and like thematically incoherent. Beyond like, I think ultimately the thing that this movie is like maybe trying to say is that like having an open mind is good and that like technological advancement is good. It's kind of just like, it feels very like optimistic.
Yeah.
In a way that like isn't like overly saccharine or overly meaningful. It's just kind of like a generic like optimism.
It's engaging with a lot of very goose stage ideas.
Yeah.
And not presenting a lot of concrete answers.
Absolutely.
Which is like a valid way to make a piece of art.
Yeah.
Is to just be like, I'm presenting some situations and not and begging more questions than I'm giving answers.
Yeah. I think that that might be the appeal for a lot of people, where it's like, oh, there's we're left with these questions, like these inscrutable aliens, but like,
I do still have to wonder how much of it is just like they were making a movie, not a film. They wanted to put some really stunning moments on screen.
Yeah, I think ultimately this was you have Steven Spielberg, who directed Jaws, like the blockbuster, to like kick off that like the idea of a blockbuster.
Yeah.
And this is his follow-up movie, and it is grand and epic. And I think the important thing here is that we have somebody that like the audience can identify with, like an everyman who is like thrust into these like extraordinary situations.
Mm-hmm.
And we get a lot of like really stunning visuals and like moments that are like kind of like awe-inspiring, even if they don't have like much like substance behind them.
Yeah.
Like all of the special effects are beautiful. There's so much like,
oh my God,
gorgeous imagery in this movie, and there's like great tension.
The design of the spaceships is wonderful.
Yes,
it's like beautiful.
It's so wonderful. And there's just like, there's not a ton of juice behind it, but I don't think that was like the goal.
Yeah.
I think ultimately it was, we're going to make a UFO movie, and they really made the hell out of a UFO movie.
They sure did make a UFO movie.
Yeah. And I think
I think the fact that it spawned so many tropes, or at the very least advanced so many tropes.
Yeah. This movie is like a cornerstone in like the truest sense, I think.
Yeah. I feel like it was a very important movie to cover early.
Yeah.
Just because it is so fundamental to like the trappings of the genre.
Yeah. And it's like the imagery is just like so potent throughout. Like as we get into, I think, more stuff that'll be like derivative, and not necessarily like the really big hitters, I think a lot of the imagery that comes from Close Encounters is going to sort of like suffuse.
Absolutely. I think even as we get into stuff that is a little bit more rich with meaning, like Arrival, I think we're going to find places where like it's biting.
Absolutely.
The Contact movies that came before it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this one is one of those blockbuster big budget ones that invites more, I would say, cribbing than homage.
Yeah.
Is like the way that I would describe it. But yeah, the other thematic thing that I guess we should touch on is just that like this whole sequence kind of mirrors like there's a read of this movie where Roy is Moses, and then Devil's Tower is Mount Sinai, and the aliens are God. They're like, that is like a thing that you can read into. There's like a religious aspect to this.
That would explain the dialogue about the Ten Commandments earlier.
Yes, and I think that's kind of like a tie-in.
Yeah.
I think there's like something there, but I don't think it's particularly rich or like played up throughout the movie.
Yeah, I think another like read on this film that I like while I'm researching for these, I do try to like insulate myself from other people's interpretations of the film, because I really don't want to accidentally say something that someone else is.
Yeah.
But I think I disagree enough with this interpretation that I'm willing to like talk about it. This was like this was like a Reddit thread that I found this in. I was looking for like some detail of the movie. I can't remember what it is at this point. But this person was talking about how they really read this entire film as being about communication, and about establishing communication with the aliens, and also about the disconnect in communication between Roy and his family. I think that's a little bit weaker of an argument to me, just because like I think better communication wouldn't have fixed the plot line with Roy's family. I think that plot line and the tragedy of it are so much more steeped in like popular ideas around mental health more than anything else. I think there are some fundamental like communication issues between Roy and Ronnie and their kids, obviously.
Yeah.
I would say more so that they have like collective emotional regulation issues.
Definitely. Dysfunctional,
yeah. I would say that dysfunction. I wouldn't characterize that dysfunction as being like as like the epicenter of it being communication. I would say the epicenter of it is like emotional dysregulation and an aversion to like being conscious about mental health.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I can see the communication angle just because like the movie starts on like translation of like
absolutely, yeah,
like English to Spanish and then like to French, and it's kind of it's a very light through line, like specifically translation is a very light through, like it comes in at the beginning and the end, and then like there are issues with communication. I think if you're not tuned into mental health, then ultimately like the tragedy of Roy is that he's not able to like communicate with other people in a way that is like meaningful and like explains what he's going through. But I think that is overshadowed from like the modern perspective just by like how clearly this is a person who, if you were in this situation, you'd be like, this is a person who is having a psychotic break.
Yeah. I think like the 2026 cut of this movie is at the shower scene. Ronnie takes him to a psychiatrist. He gets on some good meds, and like in the doctor's office, we get a TV exposition scene where like Bubba Bean Blossom and his friends put neons on their helicopters on their like ultralight aircraft, and they like just got arrested for it, and they're like being put on trial for like joyriding and having illegal modifications on their cars, and it's like a Nothing Burger local news segment.
I can absolutely see that version, and I think in that way it is definitely, I feel like relic might be like sound a little demeaning, but it's a relic of the 70s in a lot of ways, and I think I still find a lot of value and meaning. And honestly, I find a lot of value in this movie.
Honestly, I think the ways in which this movie is a time capsule of the late 70s is really interesting to me.
Yeah, it's like one of the things that I really like about this versus Star Wars. I love Star Wars. I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast yet, but if you know me, you know that I'm a fucking like Star Wars freak.
I'm quite a Star Wars fan, but I don't go as hard in the paint as you, for sure.
Don't ask me about my glup shittos. The thing about like Star Wars, like a New Hope specifically, and like the original trilogy, is that Lucas has gone back and like quote unquote touched them up so much that now there's like CGI fingerprints all over those movies,
re-specialized.
And it's like the thing about Close Encounters is that you go watch it and it's still those same special effects, and it is a pure time capsule in a lot of ways, which I really appreciate, because like the special effects are just like so beautiful and amazing,
incredible.
I don't know if we spent enough time talking about like how beautiful all the lighting and like ship designs are.
The mothership at the end, when we see it pan up because of its orientation, we kind of see that it looks like a city.
It looks exactly like a city in a really, really cool way. Apparently it was inspired by an oil refinery that Spielberg kept driving past. Originally he wanted it to be a lot more like a Star Destroyer, and like metallic and like sort of dark. Like the version of it that we see at the very beginning of the movie when Roy is like chasing it. Yeah, it is like a untouched version of like those special effects, and I think I would definitely recommend watching this one. I think it's a good time in a lot of ways. And if you are not particularly interested in the story of it, I think you can probably put on some like chill psych rock albums and just like watch the visuals and have a really good time.
Oh yeah, someone's probably figured out an album that Close Encounters of the Third Kind really links up with.
Yeah, I would love to know which album that is, because I would do that.
Yeah. No, I think like there's a lot of value to this movie, even if we both kind of feel like it's being wishy-washy with its message.
Yeah, which it very much is. I don't know. I think that's an interesting second step for this series of like, this is a cornerstone, but it's kind of from the outset goal of this like project. I think it's kind of a mid example in a lot of ways in terms of like the things that we really want to talk about.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting when we talk about a movie that we just like both really dislike. I think talking about bad media is really interesting. I think bad media can tell us a lot of interesting things.
Yeah, and you know what? That might come up next time.
Yeah.
Is it okay if we hit the outro?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. So that is going to do it for this episode, folks. Please rate, review, and share the podcast so we continue talking about the science fiction that fills our hearts and minds. If you have any questions or thoughts you'd like to share, send us an email at submissions@poets_pod.com, and we may respond to them in a Q&A episode. We'll probably send out more information about that sometime in the like next few weeks.
Yeah, till then, get in the comments.
And get in the comments, share your thoughts, and we want to have a dialogue with everybody. Do you have any closing notes?
The next episode is going to be about...
Do we not want to say the name of the movie?
No.
Didn't we reveal the name of the movie last episode?
It's beyond the viewer's clearance.
It's beyond the clear. I think they'll appreciate the plot. That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
But for now, thanks so much for choosing to spend some time with us, and until next time, be good and watch movies.
See y'all.
Bye.